then I'm gonna start playing this. I have a 3.5 hour episode of my podcast I do with the Tokyo Podfathers to listen through, featuring me and co-member Bacon talking about Warhammer. But they
still only hit on 5.
So there are these crazy
isn't 6 like double damage or something?
Okay. First of all, I'm gonna start this so the background music goes away. New game. I'm gonna make a new coffee store, and I've been thinking about this a lot. It's gonna be... How loud is this game? I'm gonna turn it down a bit. There we go. Beans go binted. There we go. Yes, I'm sick, by the way, if you can't tell. I've been having a cold since, like... So, oh my god, the sensitivity. No, the mouse is fucked. No. Okay, hold on. I need to restart the game. It does this sometimes, and it drives me crazy. Great start. For fuck's sake. Play. New game. Beans go binted. That's even funnier. Mouse? Yes. I don't need any tutorials. I'm already an expert. Here we go. Beautiful day. My new store. Now I can start listening to this podcast. I probably won't be talking a whole lot, so I'll just be listening to this.
Like if you get a
6 trigger is a critical hit, and some weapons don't have any ability.
I should probably put it on screen too.
An extra hit on a 6, or they have your wound automatically.
Game,
like you skip
video,
the next rolling step.
Right.
Window capture? Is it window?
Will have keywords that mean that they do
sure.
things
Add source.
Most don't.
Most don't. Okay.
But orcs have that a lot. It used to be that in
there.
previous, I think, 8th edition. We're in 10th edition
I'm
right
gonna hide
now.
this.
In 8th edition, they just had a universal rule that all 6s were.
There we go. Now you can see that I'm listening to this. Great.
So you just slapped as many bullshit rifles you could in your army, and just, you know, you're not gonna hit.
Is it loud enough now?
You're gonna hit more than you think.
Right,
your rocket launcher might just get an extra rocket.
Oh, there we go. 100%.
So you just want to strap as many bullshit guns to your vehicle.
Do not be concerned if you hear my voice twice.
Like your helicopter could hit.
Here we go.
Or it could hit them like.
Damn, look at this. The state.
Right.
I know all
like,
this.
Okay, like if I know I'm gonna miss, I'm gonna
Increase
shoot a lot.
cleanliness level. Okay.
Yeah.
When it hits, it's like okay, like we got him, boys.
And shooting is entirely like a bonus for orcs. What they really want to do is hit you hard.
Charge.
Because then they run in with 20 guys who all have, I think, 4 attacks, and they get an extra in the turn where they use their wall. So that's 100 attacks.
Jesus.
Turn on electricity.
And some of them, and they'll generate an extra on a 6, and you can spend the command point so it's on a 5 or a 6.
Need some beans.
And you can have
Need some cups.
a guy in your squad that makes your
Beans,
hit 1 better,
cups.
and you can probably also reroll it, and suddenly your 100 attacks becomes 140 hits.
That's like the longest turn of all time. No wonder
Espresso machine.
games take 3 hours.
There we go.
Because like I noticed like when I'm watching some of these games, each turn, it's like a big deal. Like, all right, here's turn 2, your side, right? I'm just like,
Gotta go catch my package.
Turn 2 and 3 usually take for fucking ever. Turn 1 is like you're setting up.
Yeah.
Turn 4 and 5, nothing is alive, and you're just scoring points.
Yeah. It's like okay, now that we
2
got
and 3 is when you break your opponent's back, or you get yours broken because you fucked up.
Man, I'm so slow.
True. Okay, so for you, what's the longest game you've ever logged into?
Okay. Install espresso machine on the
I
table.
don't think that counts.
It is. Oh no.
This place I used to play at shut down on
Perfect.
Sunday.
I'm already teaching you a hack.
I saw.
And we didn't finish.
By taking off the thingy majigger
we
and placing a new one,
armies.
now I have
It's like
2.
a different system. It's Age of Sigmar.
Tip
which
number
is also
2.
Warhammer, but it's like fantasy, and the rules are.
This one is so calm and
different,
nice.
but
I'm gonna flip this over to 2. Now you get twice the coffee
so we
for.
bought 7,000 point
place supplies on the
usually you bring
shelves.
2,000, so that's
There we go.
3.5
There's
times
my
as
coffee.
much as usual.
Add Doppio,
in connection with
Triplio,
that,
and
sorry to
espresso.
interrupt, the point
One of
system,
these is
so
a coffee. The
is
two
that
others
just
are
agreed
mental
upon by both
illnesses.
sides? Because I noticed that
Yes.
there's different point
There
you go.
There-
Immediately
you agree
bump these up to
if it's a
120%.
normal pickup
There's no
game, you
reason
pay
not to.
beforehand. If it's a tournament, it's almost
How would you like
always
to pay
2,000.
$36
need
for
to
a
have-
single
That's just like
shot of
that's your budget
espresso?
to build an army. Every model.
Open your shop.
Okay, so you need to build enough to reach the.
This
2,000
game is
points, but
very
You
janky
could build your
in some
army the way
ways,
you
which is if
want
you've
to.
played this
Yeah,
before,
Like, just
You
have
could build-
all
you
foot
can get,
soldiers and
like,
then,
You could
soft
build an orc
locked,
army
or
that
actually
are
just hard
two
locked.
of the big stompy things.
and
But
that's
that's
Because you
1600
have to do this
points. Now
part.
you only
You
have
have to draw
400
a
to
face on
get
this.
stuff to
If you went ahead and
score.
did all the other
right,
stuff
or, like,
before
control
doing that,
points and stuff like
Or
that.
could you- yeah,
then
'cause
you'd
you
just
have
be
to
fucked. The
stand on
game wouldn't
objectives
let you
all
make another one
Yeah.
and complete the thing.
Yeah, okay.
Grab a
You
bag of
draw, like,
coffee. You have to do
random
this in the
missions every turn that you have to
perfect order.
accomplish.
Right, and those will give
Add
you
to-
advantage when you
fuck
complete
off.
those missions.
Manual
You get
grinder.
a victory point for that. assassin
Grind.
Yeah,
point
you
for
get a
that.
certain amount of points for doing like
Put
selecting a
in one of
unit to
these.
not shoot and stand in the
Put
way.
in
Now you get
this.
2 points. If you do
Take
it
a
in your
glass,
own zone, you get
make
4.
coffee.
Stuff like that.
Interesting. So
And
you
for
basically
that
need
you
to
need,
tailor
and for
your
that you
army.
need like bullshit.
Like once you've
cheap
fully upgraded
throwaway
like
stuff
popularity
that's
and all the
fast,
skills you're
or
gonna
it can
get in this.
teleport, or it can arrive
Oh my
anywhere
god,
it
this is so
wants.
slow. The privilege of
The
having
Stompers are
played
good at
for
killing
days
stuff.
with the
You
best
don't
equipment
want
in
them to
this,
stand on the thing
and now
not
waiting for this
shoot,
piece of
because
shit.
That's their entire job.
Oh my god.
Right, and like moving him in the middle of the board. I assume they're like, oh, nice. Look at this big target. We get attacked from all sides for one whole.
The
Oh,
turn."
yeah.
Triplio
If-
coffee
if
costs
They have a
$400
special rule called
when you have
towering,
all the
where
perks.
If you can basically, if they can see you.
But yeah,
it's
this is a
like,
pro tip.
oh, yeah.
Always
They-
have the
they-
machines
they
on
toe
2
into a
shots,
win, and now
because
they're
you get
invisible
twice
from
the
you.
espresso for one.
And also they can see you from
Whatever.
Interesting. But
tennis
going back
racket,
to longest
whatever
game,
these are
so
called.
You guys were at what?
Bat.
More than 2,000 points.
There we go. And
What the?
And
roughly
we
30.
played till
Or
turn
exactly 30,
4, and
damn.
it took 6.5 hours.
Wait,
What?
trans. See,
So the one thing I'm
And
really
then-
Transfer the
grateful about
espresso
your
into the
guys'
mini cup.
gameplay is that
Didn't-
there's
I
at
did
least
that.
enough interaction during another person's turn.
what the fuck? Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
because I didn't
come
empty
from
it.
the world of Yu-Gi-Oh, where like turn 1, if my opponent goes,
There we
"You
go.
beat me in one turn and I have no.
Man,
way
I
to take
thought
a
I
turn."
just found another
That's
way to
also
That
just
hard lock
can-
myself out of this
I mean,
fucking game.
that is possible.
Place the
to
cup.
happen
Yes,
in
big.
armies, depending on what army
Great.
you're fighting. Some
Now this
armies are
part
very fast
took me
and
for
they just
fucking ever the
fight
first
forever,
time,
and if
because
you
I thought,
beat
hey,
them,
used
Right.
so you
beans,
have
I'll
to
just
not let them
dump them here, right? No, you have to use
40K
this,
can be very uninteractive. Some armies only shoot.
and then you throw it out.
And I think you'd like Tau, which are like big.
No, Moss, this is exactly what it's like to
they
be
don't
a
fight.
barista.
They
Oh, look
suck
at the
at
recipe
melee,
book.
but they love
Why?
shooting at you. So they're just
Go
gonna
home and
hide
save the game.
and blast you, and
Jesus.
there's nothing you can really
wish I could
do
just
except hide
Turn
and
off these
like
tutorials.
try
Well,
and
it is
fix
very
it.
much still a game in
Oh,
development.
Other
That's,
armies.
that's annoying, man. I don't want to do that.
Anything that charges you gets to fight
Save.
you before you fight it.
I almost just overwrote
So
my
in
top game.
Like a full melee.
That
army,
game,
they have their go
I
turn
have
and they just charge
fucking
all their
everything
units
and
at
like
you.
$500,000.
You just don't get to do anything. You just
Nice.
die.
Yeah, right? That's
Oh,
my
no.
shit. Funnily enough, there's no way to
Where
upgrade
Age
that.
of Sigmar, which
Oh,
is the
mini
fantasy
espresso.
version, is
I have
a
one
lot
ready here.
more
It's 77 degrees Celsius. It's old, don't
interactive.
mind
There's
that.
less shooting in it,
Pro tip number
overall,
5.
but in melee,
The
you
customers don't give a
charge fighting
fuck about
no
the
matter how
temperature of the
fancy you
coffee in
charge.
this game.
So there's
You can
active
serve
player
them
choice
day
first, and then you
old
go back and forth. So
milk,
if you just
and they
charge
don't
your
give
whole
a
army, you
fuck.
have to be very mindful that your opponent gets
Alright,
to
I have
fight before
money.
you
I should
second thing.
already.
Right. I mean that's what I like about the shooting phase. It's like, okay, I get to
Customers are
interact
weird in
some
this.
shape or form to see
Coffee
whether or not
grinders,
my guys
kettles.
survive,
I should get a
whether or not
kettle,
My guys.
because that'll
The
unlock.
morale turn is really funny to me. The turn is they just run away. Like, oh god, two people died, we're out of
Americanos.
here. I'd be so pissed if that happened.
Yep.
Rad.
Like,
Mini
we're
These guys
going
can't
espresso.
win. Damn.
Very nitty
I should also already now just buy a fuckload of mini cups
Tabletop game, and maybe
True.
we should
and
save
more
that for
coffee.
True. Okay. So
Probably-
going to the top of the list. How did you get into Warhammer? Because me,
Some milk.
I'm getting into it as we speak right now. I'm still playing Space Marines.
What
I
else?
see guys at my shop play.
Yeah.
There.
You know, all I do is walk by and be like, "Dang it, they're using that table to
What?
play Warhammer. We have a tourney going on."
Oh, I'm so
but
fucking
it's whatever.
spoiled.
There, I think
I'm so used to
Space
having all
Marine
this
2 is
done
what gets
for me.
people into
which is good.
The success has
so
been
stupid.
like, I did not expect it to pop off as much as it did, and
Yeah.
the whole like 40k VTuber pipeline has been amazing
What?
There we
to
go.
witness. Well, like
I don't
so
keep
many
up with
VTubers.
VTubers. I don't keep up with VTubers, so dude,
What?
I
No,
know.
no, but
Yeah.
so many
Oh.
have gotten into it. The Hollow VTubers like Callie and Iris and stuff, they're getting into it.
Oh, it's over, dude. You're gonna have so many.
What's her name?
people in the
Tia.
Dude, why'd your other shop close
T-
down, man?
oh,
This could have
whoops.
saved them, dude.
No, I think it's awesome. Cause okay, so there's this guy
T-
you've no doubt watched
beautiful.
this video about the factions. Bricky.
Yes, I
is his
have.
name. You like Bricky is great, and a bit over a year ago, maybe
My
2
God,
years.
this
Oh,
is-
it's actually it's quite a long time ago.
Yeah,
now,
I've
I think.
seen him
I'm
play.
dying from old age
He
looking
made
at this.
2 videos explaining all the factions.
Please
Finished.
save
They're
it for my
gr-
boredom.
And so
Bring
many
me.
people
Oh
have
my
made
God.
reaction videos to it, and they're always great because people are not prepared for the insanity that
Give
is
me
40K.
my wares.
Um,
Kill me.
No good guys.
So-
Everyone's bad. Everyone's a monster.
I think that's also an important point we have to touch on, the good guys thing. But
Oh.
like a year ago, this one.
There we go. Thank
YouTuber,
you, Amazon.
Matara Khan, who's like a cockroach.
Milk
lady
frother,
thing.
coffee. jug.
Did a reaction to it, and it.
I'll just wait
popped
for the
off,
next.
and
Oh my
they
God.
started
Oh,
crying.
there's no time. Tia's
So
almost
more
about
and
to
more
leave. I have
Oh.
45 seconds to do
And
this.
Shoujo, I think, like the more indie VTuber company,
Mm.
and more of them.
Bing bong, thank you.
and
Come again.
They're doing collabs left, right, and center, and suddenly Space Marine 2 came out, and now Kelly and I think yesterday.
You, sir,
Iris
don't
tweeted about it.
Ma'am, I mean,
And
sorry.
More and more. Like,
I'm so
big,
sorry.
Huge VTuber
Mini
personalities
Triplio.
are getting
Fuck
into
yeah,
it, and,
dude.
like,
Those are so
Callie's
expensive.
Brother,
Oh
brother,
no.
help me.
Nice.
Her
My
streams
leg
were
is gone.
fucking great, and it's like it's not even like a passing thing because I think she even went back and streamed the first one, Space Marine 1, which is like 2010
I'm so
ish.
Jesus.
sorry.
That is,
Jesus.
it's an old-ish game, but it still holds up. Like it's very up its time.
And that
Like,
tells a
Gears of War
story.
style.
That tells a story of Leandros and Titus together.
Yeah, Leander.
I
is on
should
your team,
get-
and you're on the
Bastard.
World
Damn it.
Raya, there's orcs,
It's locked.
and then chaos. It runs much like Space Marine 2. You're fighting a cool Xenos army, and then it all becomes fighting chaos.
Yeah, and we
Can
see
ne-
we see
can-
no orcs in this. I remember they said that Space Marine 1 there was like a weird complaint of people saying there were too
we
many orcs,
go.
and then other fans are
Some
like,
milk.
"That's the point. Orcs. There's
That's
a
the
lot
point.
of them."
Oh, I should
The whole point of orcs is that there's
menu.
a bajillion of
I should
them.
add
I thought the Tyranids were a problem when I was playing Space Marines 2. Every time I saw them, I was like, Jesus,
Americano
I
and
That's also the point of Tyranids. There's many of them.
cortado,
like
easy.
expendable trash.
Flat white, also very easy.
Yeah, so that's a thing. Is that
Latte,
consumers
not
getting
so
into it
easy,
and
but easy enough that I don't mind
weak
doing it.
fans
There we
and-
go.
I'm heavily
It's just-
influenced.
it's
Yeah.
Do
just
they-
great.
yeah, none of those
And they're
require
all
filter
playing more and
coffee, I
more
don't think.
Space Marine.
Whoops.
Not Space Marine, like Warhammer style games.
Don't look at me while I'm
Way
doing this.
I got into it. This is going way back.
Of course. No, it's-
Bing
When
bong,
I
thank
was
you for
like-
the
When I
$108.
was like 11 or 12. So
Okay.
2001
Thank you for your patronage.
or 2.
Oh God, how
Oh,
old are we?
whoops.
Holy Jesus.
Some of my friends at school showed up with miniatures from
Hmm.
what was at the time
Mini
Warhammer Fantasy
Cortado.
Battles.
Okay,
So, like,
Cortado,
a guy
easy.
on a griffin and a
60
dragon
mils
and knights and
Of
stuff like that.
milk.
And I was like, oh.
6
That's
milliliters.
So, and I didn't know anything about it. or the
And
armies
a
or
large
anything, la, la, la.
espresso shot.
So I went to the store and
Easy.
I got some.
Do I have any tips?
I
No.
got some
Fucking
skeletons and zombies,
Jesus.
goblins,
They're
not knowing that
so
they can't team up.
stingy.
Not like an orc on a dragon.
What's a guy got to do
And
to get some
I think-
tips?
No, not. Maybe
This
I
is
didn't get a
so
griffin, it was
fucking
just
slow.
orc.
I
So
can't
was
Like
this
all-
this was pre?
When do I unlock the next one?
Already painted?
Prepare
No.
10 espresso
No.
shots. I should just do
This
half
was
shots so it's
Warhammer Fantasy
quicker.
Battle, so it was plastic, and they were horrible sculpts. And I didn't know to prime them, so we just painted straight over the plastic.
Please.
Uh,
Oh my God.
it
Right.
was horrible, and we never played a game
Here's your-
because none of us knew how to do it. Like,
How
I
warm
know-
is it?
I remember going to their place.
60 degrees. Perfect.
They had some guys, I had some guys, and we set up a table like we could see on the boxes you're supposed to do. And then we were like,
This out.
well, we don't have
This
the fucking rules.
In.
No, none of
and
us know how to do
there.
this.
Just sitting there.
like,
You guys are just
there,
sitting there like
We just
there.
have our guys.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And then it was like, yeah, fuck it. We just, I guess, I don't remember if we even like tried to play a game.
I got some other stuff.
That's
too.
good
My
times.
brother.
That's good times though. That's like Wild
And
West Yu-Gi-Oh!
they
It's
took
just like,
boiled
you know
water
the
in.
rules,
We
well,
will
you saw
never
the
use
show.
this. Spoiler
Alright,
alert.
well, you can't.
Yeah, I
Joke.
saw the show, and this number is higher than your number, so I guess I get to spit on you.
No, it's like no. I attack your spell card. You can't do that. Yugi did it. What the heck? No.
What the fuck? Oh no, the Dark Realm.
I know there's no
That
no
is the
judge
way it
nearby to
works.
help you. So I remember
Yeah.
I watched a video on that in like the beginning of.
That's
Warhammer,
not the
and,
one.
I didn't know it was in Europe or something like that where it first started. But
Summon
I thought
Pot
it
of
was
Greed
really
and draw
interesting
3
how they went from,
cards.
like, fantasy.
That's not the way it
and they
works.
made, like,
That
2
is
or
the
3
way it
different games.
works.
They made like a
That do
football
be
game with
how it works,
cards and
Yugi.
figures or something like that, and I was like,
Oh, Blood Bowl.
yeah, they made Blood Bowl, and I was like, oh, I've heard of that game, and I was just like,
Put it
wow,
away.
these, I didn't know
Wait,
these guys were
I
connected
can't?
to all these like
Oh.
weird like.
Because I got a
artifacts
little bit of
of,
milk in it.
like D&D and stuff like that. Like the original guys who created Warhammer, they were like distributing D&D when it first came out, and then like that was like their main profit at some point.
there,
and the D&D
and
guys said, like, hey,
espresso,
no, like, yours are
and-
done.
Yeah.
Let's draw
Yeah,
a
but
little
what's in-
GG on it.
Like, I think
Mm.
Games Workshop started as a company that made minis
Beautiful.
for other companies, and at some
Lola?
point they turned that into their
Oh, a
own
hater.
rogue
I
trader
don't have anything to.
where you could use, like,
This game used to have. Like I watched
race
Doki Bird
forces.
play this like from a clip from half a
And
year
that
ago,
became, at some point,
and
Warhammer 40,000.
at
Right.
that
And they
point in
started
time, it
making
was apparent. It
Warhammer
was
Fantasy
possible
again. I
to.
think 40k has existed for longer than their.
You could
fantasy
pull out a
setting,
bet and
but
attack
they've existed since like the late 80s.
the haters.
Jeez.
You can't do that anymore. So now there's nothing you can do
Fantasy
to
got
them
reset.
until you spend money for a security guard.
Sigmar is on round bases instead of squares.
Right.
The minis are fucking.
My God,
astonishing.
this one
They're
requires
so
2
good.
double shots.
Uh,
Jesus
that's why I've
fucking
been getting
Christ.
into
Well, I
it
have
a
7
bit more
minutes to do
lately.
it, so
Wow, so
could be worse, I guess.
So
What-
so like after you got
What do
got
you need,
into it,
ma'am?
right? Or like, you know, when you
No,
got
Also
your
a
skills
double.
and-
Fuck!
Yeah. No,
I need another machine.
Oh Jesus. Okay.
because the fantasy part.
I won't do that
kinda
until I can
died
get a
off.
better
We stopped
one,
Playing around with that.
which will be
Okay.
soon.
Then I
Yeah.
remember my local library carried the Games Workshop magazine called White Dwarf, and we would look at it and
Alright.
see all the pictures, and that's where I found out about Warhammer 40,000. And I distinctly remember the images of Tyranids and orcs fighting and being like, "That's the coolest shit I've ever seen." Like these green brute men in these checkerboard painted black like goth trucks and minis that for sure looked like fucking shit, but at the time they're like, "That's so cool." So,
Humble beginnings, man. That's the best
But-
thing. Like hell yeah.
but I knew it was like,
go.
this is gotta be fucking expensive, and I don't know anyone who plays it.
What
and
should we
all
put
that,
on
so
this?
I didn't get into it at that point, but I was just looking at it and like walking through stores and looking at displays and stuff like that. And I kind of forgot about it for a long time until I started playing like 40k.
That's,
games, like the
Beans Go Binted original, sir.
which
That's gonna be
is-
worth money someday. I hope you realize that.
soundtrack is amazing because it had Necrons in it. You play as the Mechanicus, which
There
are
you go.
like tech priest weirdos, and you're
Yeah,
always
the Omnisaya and all that crap.
yeah, they're always
That's the
desecrating
Doppio.
Necron tombs.
Ready
Yes,
to
they're
go.
curious little shits.
And
when I explore.
Cortado almost.
And then
Come on.
once I got to a point in the game where you fight Necron snipers called Death Marks, that's when the bear trap got me, because that unit is the coolest shit I've ever seen. I love it so
Oh,
much.
whoops. Bit too much milk. but That's fine.
Over.
Bye.
So
Mini
what platform was
Cortado.
this game on? Because it sounds like
This
they've been
was,
making
this
it
was
for
just
a
PC.
while. Okay.
This was during, it was like right at the start of COVID, this.
Oh,
Uh,
interesting.
and then I saw the sniper, and I was like, that's sick. I won one. And
Please
that's
let me
when I
buy a new
kind of
machine.
talked myself into starting Kill Team. Because I knew it was like, oh, a full army, that's fucking expensive, and I have no idea how to play. So Kill Team, where you just have this little elite squad of maybe 10 dudes.
Right.
Perfect. So I got the Start Collecting box, which let you assemble Death Marks and other units, and you basically
Now I can also
could
get a
build a
better
full Kill Team out of it.
grinder.
I never once
250.
played Kill
I'll
Team,
I added to
because
cart.
what happened
get it yet, but-
immediately after
I can
is
dream.
that they announced 9th edition of the tabletop game.
I will
where
never use
Necrons
this.
were the big baddies. So a
Oh, I
huge
just sell it,
launch
can I?
set came out,
Yeah.
and suddenly I had this this
Wait, no, I
huge
shouldn't have done
army.
that. Because when I hire
And I
people, they
was-
need the.
I think for the next
thing to
2
be
years I
there.
didn't play it. I just painted like a year and a half. So this would be summer 2020 until
Whoops.
like
Fuck, that's too much
Gee.
milk.
end of 2021. I was
No,
just
I'm pouring out
collecting
the
stuff and
espresso.
painting it. I never once played it because it was
No!
daunting
Oh,
thing.
fucking goddamn
I
it.
just watching
Piss off.
online tabletop games.
He also needs a
Battle
Cortado.
games, they're called,
God damn it.
Right.
on channels like Midwinter Minis and Tabletop Titans and Dice Check, Bricky, stuff like that. Just watching people play it and like absorbing the rules through that until I decided to give it a go. Almost
That's kind of what I'm doing now.
right.
Like just listening in the background, like understanding like why they're doing
Yeah.
it. and,
Just
like,
like,
the commentators are very
I
very.
must have
detailed.
already poured the
That's one
milk
thing
and
I'm
just
very
forgot.
appreciative of.
are you watching
How
War Games
embarrassing.
live?
I'm watching play tabletop.
Play tabletop.
Play
Is
on
it good?
play on tabletop
this
because like
Play on
it's like
tabletop?
a freaking esports tourney or like I think better than
Kinda.
it. It looks like freaking like actual sports. Like they have a lot of B-roll. They do a lot of like effects and like you know when they do
Bye.
like, the,
Yeah,
like
they
transitions like
do-
wow it's like high production.
They do pre-recorded, right? So they edit it.
of course.
Yes. Most of the stuff I watch is like live. So a British guy called Liam Dempsey and Tabletop Titans and War Games Live are all live broadcasts of games.
Okay, so very raw footage of just like okay. You could
Well, no, it's actually surprisingly good production value.
mm.
Not everybody does that. These people put in the effort to look like $1 million, even when it's live. And it's truly appreciated. And then this guy Joe, War Games Live, he goes around from like weekend to weekend, just travels across the U.S. and streams a tournament every weekend. And it's great, like watching these local people.
I have
and
49
sometimes
cups,
big,
have a bunch of coffee, have some milk.
quote unquote.
We're in a good
stars,
spot, okay.
Niche internet
Trash,
micro-celebrities,
Trash. Sweep,
play
sweep,
the
sweep.
game. So anyway,
Trash.
that's what I
There you
did for a year and a half.
Time
of
to
just
go honk
collecting
Shua,
and
sleep on
painting,
that thing.
and suddenly I had this gigantic army that I had never used. I got into it, and I think my
I'll
first
get
game
my 10 hours.
that could have been my longest. if I
Save.
hadn't have had to stop because the store closed.
Oh no,
Um,
it's so sad.
We played for 3 hours and we didn't get to turn 3 just because he had to walk me through everything, right? So very
Right,
nice
right.
of him to walk me through all the phases.
Anything
and
I
show me
need?
how it
No,
works.
I have
Like I had a
milk.
base understanding of most of it.
Oh
just
wait, I
through
need
osmosis
other sizes
of
of cups
stream.
in case people
Right.
coming out want
Playing it in real time, like
Americanos.
I move here. Okay, that allows you to do this to me. I should not do that, but maybe I do it on
Don't need
purpose
any
to
of these other
bait,
things
and then
just
I
yet.
can overwatch you and blah,
Shot.
blah,
Right,
stuff
right.
like that.
Yeah.
I need
So-
the. I want
So
the better
baby-
coffee
Baby's
grinder.
first game. Like let's walk you through this. Like there's
Yeah,
no
that
no
was
pressure.
I
was a
will
lot of
need a
fun. Like, I
kettle
got
at some
my-
point.
got my ass
Jug,
kicked,
ice
of course,
maker, shaker,
but-
mixer.
That's how it starts.
because at the time Necrons
Better
were not very good,
knockbox,
and his army
yes,
was
but
extremely
that's like a
good.
luxury.
And I played some more different games and used tournament rules and stuff like that. And pretty quickly, I
I should
started
just
playing
prep
like
these
7
ahead of
times a
time,
week.
honestly. There we
Just-
go.
It's there's something
Temperature
about
does
it,
not matter.
Moving the miniatures around,
Oh,
rolling dice.
come on
doing
in to my store.
doing
Buy some
tactics
very
and then
expensive
paying
coffee.
off. Like it itches just the right spot in
Hello?
in your brain.
Hello,
like,
what do you need?
"Oh,
It's
This
Triblio.
is the shit.
Ah,
This is-
There we
this
fucking
is-
go.
This is the good shit.
Think-
Now
I
we're
think
talking.
That's what's pulling
Look at
me
this, how
towards the
fast it
hobby
is
because I've
compared
always
to the
been a
other
fan
one.
of. Again, these are
Would
really
you fuck
loose
off?
connections I'm making. But you know, like I've always been a fan of like one lore. I love like big, deep worlds about stakes, wars and deaths and betrayal. Like you know, all that stuff is obvious. Like it's a great story, right?
Mhm.
On the other
already
end of it, when
full.
you talk about strategy, moving your units and like strategizing, I grew up playing like StarCraft. In no point was I a StarCraft like expert. I could still play till this day. I'm very slow, but I still understand like strategy, how to react. When you see something your opponent's doing, you either shut it down or adjust accordingly. I like that mindset, and so seeing people play Warhammer, you know, you feel like makes you feel like a real leader, commander, and like you're doing all these things. and
Bing bong.
Seeing your units
Mini
die, you're
flat
like,
white.
"Oh,
Hell
damn
yeah,
it,
something
you know,
different.
we're
They
losing."
were supposed to do this next turn.
Crap, and then like now you have to do this, or when you see
milk.
like you're getting overwhelmed.
Here you
and,
go, ma'am.
like,
Some
all
room
that does seem
temperature
fun,
day-old
and
milk.
The dice rolling aspect, what I like about it is
Thank you for the
best
70
thing could happen
bucks.
to you, or the worst thing could happen to you. It's all up to the
Yes.
dice kind of thing. Like, even though you might be in a spot where the writing's on the wall, it looks really bad, all of a sudden you're like, oh, if you fail that, I succeeded in
Yes,
this.
your
Now
opponent
you
could just miss all their attacks.
Right, and like I've
Or
seen
you can
some,
make a couple saves too many.
right, and so it can tip it one way or the other. So my next question
Mini
is kinda
Cortado.
like in terms of like the gaming history of it or whatever.
Now
like,
we're
I
fucking
know you
cooking.
guys have a meta, but is there like what's the community's mindset on metas? 'Cause I remember Bricky saying something like, you know, I know he was joking, memeing, but he was kind of like, gosh darn it, I'm sick of seeing so many people play Space Marines because Space Marines are the best right now. Like darn poster childs, they could shoot, move, combat.
Yeah.
Like they have there's
Like-
this like psyker, like if they're Grey Knights, they have psychers, which is like
Space
another
Marines are an incredible use case for how to. Cause they're an enigma because they're simultaneously the worst stat. If you go on stat-check.com, you can see like the meta results for the game, and you'll notice
one. Here we go.
that Space Marines are at the way bottom.
Interesting.
But they're also the best army in the game because they have a lot of the game. The army building is done with detachments. Right? So you pick your faction, Space Marines.
Oh, I need cups.
Then you
Cups,
pick
cups,
a
cups, cups, cups,
detachment.
cups.
The detachments give you like an extra
Big
army
latte.
rule. They give you some
La
stratagems,
latte.
They give you some enhancements.
Let's fucking
Space
go,
Marines
dude.
get, I think it's
Big espresso
6
shot,
or
and then a
7, just
shitload
like
of milk
standard
foam.
that
Also
all
day-old,
chapters can pick.
room temperature.
But if you're playing Blood,
Enjoy.
you get those 7 and you
Satisfaction
can upgrade
guaranteed.
to Blood Angels.
Don't mind me. I just have COVID, I guess.
Oh,
Or
okay,
if,
okay.
or if you're playing Dark Angels, you also
Look
get
away. I
upgrades
can't
to
froth while
Dark
you're looking.
Angels.
God, it's so embarrassing.
Certain chapters have unique units
Who up
that
frothing?
utilize the detachment rules better than others.
that would be a great
So
store
White
name,
Scars
too.
is
Who up
a
frothing?
chapter that's all about bikes and going fast. They're like
So that-
Mongolian horseback riders.
Yeah,
right?
they're Primarch's friggin'
Right.
like,
I have 4 minutes.
Jagatai Khan.
like Jagatai Khan. Yeah, he's like Genghis Khan. When I saw him, I was like,
Yeah.
Jagatai Khan. I guarantee
He's
you these
fucking
guys will-
sick.
Okay.
They have
nice.
they
We're
have
getting
an
into the
attachment.
Imperium Primarchs. Heck yeah. There's
Yeah.
a Primarch.
They
in this
have-
book, too.
They have an attachment called Stormlands, which is designed to be the White Scars detachment. But White Scars suck
Aw.
because there's so few bike units in the game. Unless you're playing Space Wolves, who have a unit called Thunderwolf Cavalry that counts as a mounted unit, which is the same as a bike. So they benefit so much from the White Scars detachment that people just play Space Wolves in that. And Space Wolves have an incredible win rate. Same for Blood Angels, same for Dark Angels, Black Templars. All these offshoot chapters have great win rates, but standard Space Marines have shit win rate. Because if you just play bog standard Space Marines, you don't have all the weird unique units or characters and stuff like that that can like abuse these weird rules interactions.
Can you combine
Oh, whoops.
faction?
Not, I mean, you can soup. It's called soup.
Okay.
Any Imperium faction can ally in an Imperial Knight or an Assassin or Inquisitors and stuff like that.
Okay.
But an Imperial Knight army can't ally in Space Marines.
Okay. Yeah. So, this is more in-depth mechanics that I don't
Yeah,
understand because
some factions can take allies. It's the same for Chaos in a certain sense that Chaos Space Marines can take demons or Chaos
Cortado.
Knights, but Chaos Knights can take demons. Demons can take Chaos Knights,
the heck.
but none of those two can take Chaos Space Marines.
Interesting. Okay.
It's complete nonsense.
Right. Well, obviously you can't do something like, oh, yeah, these. What's your army? Oh, half.
I
space
should go
marines,
ahead
half
and get
orcs.
some
It's
of
like,
these
first of all,
skills.
canonically, that could
Barista.
never happen.
Actually,
Ah, it's too
once
expensive.
you could. There was a chart.
But those are so
in, I
worth
think,
it.
7th edition.
Because it makes the coffee even more
that
expensive.
showed like who you could ally with, and it was like close allies, allies of like desperation, and like never in a million years. And I think the Necrons were the only ones who could ally with basically none, because they're like the kings of space racism. They don't like
Yeah.
anybody.
Oh yeah, no. I
But-
think isn't their goal just to take over everything? They're just like, yeah, we're the greatest.
That's
so-
the goal of everybody.
True.
It's like
okay.
that. That's
yeah.
where we get into. At some point, we have to get back to it. The good guy, the 40k thing.
The lore, I guess.
The
You know.
lore.
Yeah.
Where was we?
I-
Where were we?
We were discussing kind of like the mechanics of like combining armies, and it's just like back
Oh,
back
it's
in
Space
seventh
Marines.
seventh edition, Space Marines were able to
Put this away
go with,
now.
like who orcs?
They-
Put the
No.
milk down
They
here.
could probably ally with anybody.
Let's
Like
go
you could
get some
ally
stuff.
Wow.
Tau and Eldar. Which,
Electric coffee grinder.
I mean, I don't think-
Supplies.
in terms of lore, I don't think they have a especially bad relationship.
yeah.
I don't think they've interacted a lot. At all.
Hell yeah.
I
Oh,
would assume with how
hell
many
yeah.
factions there are, I bet there are ones I don't even know they
Let's
exist.
fucking go.
Tom,
I mean,
looking at you,
The
Grey
fun
Knights.
thing in the lore is that most Imperial citizens have no idea any of these factions exist.
That's
They're not told.
I wouldn't want to be told anyways.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
do you know?
What do you-
wanna-
oh my
like, do you
God,
wanna
so
know about
much.
the horrors of
Mini,
the galaxy?
mini,
It's like
mini.
no.
the torture elves.
flat white.
Like
God.
they most of them think Space Marines are a myth. Like they call them the Angels of Death because it's like they're like mythical figures, heroes of.
Doppio, Cortado,
Right.
flat
And that's
white.
one thing
Okay,
I like
Cortado,
about like the Grey Knights
there.
is that even the Grey Knights are known to just not exist.
Tanned
amongst
GG
Space
art? Of
Marines.
course I've
No,
seen-
these
Who do you think I am?
They're the secret police of the space.
Oh my God,
Right, but
oops.
like when the Grey Knights arrive, they decimate
go.
everyone because they have to
Yeah.
uphold secrecy.
No
You
witnesses.
think I don't wake up in the
That's
morning
so
and the first thing I do is
Just
check
wait.
all the GG
What's
art?
so great about it is the reason you can't know about them is that they exist only to fight demons, and the Imperium does not want anybody to know.
Although the new lore is like,
Right.
I guess
My
Ollie
brother
dropped a
who-
video
I think there's
talking
one thing
about
that like
Brother.
her
No,
Hollow
the
Fest
literal brother.
memories.
Brother.
Just being
So
like,
I
oh
texted
yeah,
my
they're
brother like
they
when
look like they're
Space Marines 2
fucking
came out, I
dating.
said, hey,
Auto
my friend
Fister is
Space
so
Marines, I
real.
know you said that you're him. He's not.
And I'm happy for
He's
them.
very
If that's
into
true,
lore
I'm
as
happy
well.
for
Like,
them.
we'll consume anything.
Now,
if you give us books, on
Kyla and Crony,
here's the in-depth like analysis.
I
on,
will
like, how
seethe
the
till the end of
Halo-
my
how
days.
Halo was created, kind of thing. Like we'll read it
Because that is
for
just,
sure.
it's too
Like,
perfect somehow.
So he was actually into Warhammer as well, but never
like,
got
how the
into tabletop.
fuck-
He just likes listening to the videos.
How the
'cause
fuck
there's,
does
like, a
that
YouTube
matchup make
channel
any sense?
of a guy
They're
that
so
just
good.
reads the books, like an audiobook. Like, oh, I'm gonna read number one, and I
Yeah.
forget who it is.
Kiara just
But
added
I
it
asked
for it.
him like, oh hey, are you getting into like Space
Oh, Ame
Marines,
and
all that
Gura knew each
stuff? And
other?
he's like, oh heck yeah, I'm already playing it.
That's,
And then
that's
him,
cool.
every time I talk with them, he's like, yeah, in the story
I
right
have
now.
no idea. I
they
don't know
just
how they
released
would
that
know
there's
each
one
other.
demon doing this and that, and so he's like on top of the story. He says that
I
there was an
think-
event recently where
And I bet they just
demon
like really hit it
came-
off at
came back to
the
life, and
the
they
little
sent
get together
108
thing they
Grey
do.
Knights after it, and I was like, holy what? He's like, yeah, and I don't even know
Somehow,
what the result of that battle
Herb
was,
is
so
like-
I'm not sure if you know what was going on in the
She
story
feels
there,
like
but all I remember is that a bunch of
like
Grey
an
Knights were sent
extra
somewhere and I
in
don't
the
think they
circus
returned.
that
I'm
is
just like,
Hollow
that's
Live.
insane. What the hell
she
was
doesn't
it?
really have the main character
sound-
feel
Okay,
that
I
the
don't
others
I'd have
do.
to ask-
much.
And it's a
I have
shame.
to ask him
Wow.
again. Then that's on me. It's like
She's a
he's
cool
just
design,
very
but she
invested
doesn't
in
have the
story. Like, he's
same
always waiting
confidence, kind
for the
of.
next thing to come out of like, oh, this one guy's coming back, and he's like, oh.
I don't know if
And
that's
he
just
reads it
me.
and goes, damn, that's crazy. Kind of like the latest manga chapter.
Right, I found the screenshot here.
Rara
This
is growing
top
on me.
section, Space Wolves, the bottom is
Like at first, I could not stand the voice,
Interesting.
and they have access to the
Oh.
same.
but she's so fucking.
But
Okay,
it's like
where are my
the
guys?
Space Wolves
Oh, okay, I don't see
are
it.
just better set up to abuse it, in a sense.
Okay,
right?
boomers.
Hmm.
Is she? Why? Is she the okay
Oh,
boomer
Grey
girl?
Knights, yeah,
No,
yeah,
there's no way.
So is Grey Knights the ones you're looking at?
So okay, so to get
Okay,
into,
pro
like,
tip number
on my
6.
end, what I'm
Americanos,
looking
you
at.
do
So,
not need boiled water for that. You can
obviously
just
still
go to the
playing
tap.
game. I got into Binted, as I've shown you.
This is such a
obviously,
hack.
I have all
There we
these
go,
updated
35
3D
degrees,
figures that I
perfect.
wanted to
Bing,
talk to you
$60, thank you.
about, but I'm now
Mini,
painting them
Doppio.
myself as a way to kind of like train myself, right?
Right.
There's a painting
Yes. Mini
class at
espresso.
my local
Yes, have
card
that ready
shop
for
they
you.
started that's like more local to me.
God, you guys are making
Basically,
such a fucking mess in
Choose a
here.
figure on the table. paint it
Triplo?
with us. You keep
Fuck,
it, and
dude.
the guy leading it.
I don't have
Very
that.
nice. Like we just
Yet.
sit there and just talk about whatever. He's a big Warhammer guy too, and
Did making a
I
song?
just ask him like, hey, how do I do
That's
this
nice.
detail? How do I do this and all that? And like,
Always seems a
he's
little
very
weird when
good teacher. You know, and obviously, just like any other
Like,
person
when
starting, we all like to start.
VTubers
and
are
hurt
someone
ourselves.
else
We're like,
on
oh,
this
This
side.
looks awful. This
Is
looks
it-
like this, and him.
What's
he's
her
very
name?
Like, no,
Kason?
don't be hard on yourself. It's
Who's
painting,
also a
it's fine.
VTuber, and you just kind of have to
So-
pretend that
My goal
It's
right
like
now
Demon
is
Dice Karen
paint all my
too,
D&D
like,
figures first, you know what I
we
mean?
just kind of have
See if
to
I actually
pretend
enjoy painting in
we
general,
don't know.
right? Because him,
Seems
he
a
was
little
describing
goofy.
what we're doing is different. It's like there's production level painting for your army to play Warhammer, and then there's detailed painting, which is like D&D and all that stuff. And me, I'm just like, oh, okay. In terms of like what I want to
Mini
build,
Cortado.
I'm on two different ends of spectrum, and this is where the good guy, bad guy mindset could come in. I really like the Grey Knights for the mindset of destroy everything. There's a few of us here. I like how they're psychers. I think
Yeah.
that's a
I mean,
cool
it's like
mechanic,
just like pro wrestling, right?
and
It's
all
like
that stuff,
the
we
you
don't
gotta
exist. On
you
the
gotta
other end,
maintain the
I love the
kayfabe.
salamanders because they're the only guys that show some bit of like
They're the nice
protect-
guys, space marines,
yeah,
right?
we're the freakiest looking people when we take our helmets off, but like we will save a child. God damn it!
It's like-
an expense for our lives. I'm like, hell yeah.
I-
and
I
on
do
top of
have
that,
to
I just love
wonder
their Primarch,
what they
Rainbow
look
Blue.
like in real life, because they always
Yeah,
say that
like,
the others are
I
so
build,
cute, so pretty,
I
and blah blah
kill,
blah.
And goddamn it,
And
I
for an
torture, and
online-only
if you guys collect all
personality,
these
that
things, I will come
can't-
back. I'm like,
it
hell
can't
yeah,
be true.
dude. It's like searching for
It's like
One
that's
Piece
not a part.
6
That's not a
times.
required part of them
We're
being
gonna
hired.
find these things and
Some
bring
of them
them
They're
have
back.
to
like
be
the Marines who are
less
into
fortunate looking than
flame
others.
weapons, that's sick.
Yeah, and I've always loved flame weapons against aliens. It always made sense to me growing
So
up.
it's easier to just
Even when I was playing
pretend they look like
Helldivers,
their
I was like,
avatars.
okay, we're facing aliens. I need a flamethrower. And
Although
I just like how that
fucking
makes
love
sense.
Kyla's avatar does not
Yeah,
look like
yeah,
someone
and
who
so, like,
hasn't done
salamanders
skincare
always
ever in
specialize
her
fire,
life.
and I'm like, sweet. I could take down the Tyranids easily. And don't get me wrong, Tyranids are cool. I don't think there's a faction in Warhammer that I learned about where I'm just like, I don't like them, but that's my mindset right now. I'm
And
still
never
on, like, the
brushes her
Arthurian
hair.
Side, but if you
It's
can
like
convince me
All these weird
on
details
some
coming
other
out
sides of,
because
like,
she's hanging
chaos
out with
weapons and, like,
Crony who cannot
about
handle.
learning about Slanesh
that
and all
she
those
didn't
people. I
do
could be
anything.
easily convinced.
You know what?
right
I
now.
bet
you're playing.
I bet Kyla's hair and skin was fine
Necrons.
You're playing
and
Necrons.
because she's
Chaos
never
Knights.
done
Yeah, okay.
skincare.
But with what I've just told you, is there anything that you want to like, guide me on?
What-
or,
what-
you know, make
I
fun
mean,
of
it
me
would be
on? Go
weird
for
to
it,
look
man.
like.
just-
Well, if you're
I'm
painting,
having fun.
if you're painting Grey Knights,
How do
much like Necrons,
do we know what they
Grey
look
Knights
like?
are a easy to paint army, right?
Yes.
Because it's all silver.
I guess I haven't gone
Heck
looking.
yeah, I know. Yeah.
You can get a long way with just like a silver spray, like you buy the lip.
Matara
gloss
is another
spray,
great example of someone who had a
prime them silver,
like she had a
and then
memer
you-
online presence before.
You probably give them like
she's
black
so
brush and
pretty.
then dry brush.
It's actually crazy.
Brighter silver, and that's like 99% there, right?
I'm not an expert at this. All I have is a white and gray primer and just like the base colors.
Yeah.
I don't know
Get
their
a
original
black
accounts.
primer. I prefer black.
Gotcha.
Because that
gotcha.
way
Small.
you get like
flat white.
shade in recesses. Stuff
Mm.
where you don't fully paint in the crevice. It just remains black and it like it's shadow. It gets more contrast, right?
Noted. Okay, thank you.
Look up for if you want to do it like real easy and to create it, look up. I think it's Honest Wargamer has a video called the slap chop method. It is so easy and it honestly looks great.
Slap chop. You watch this.
Yeah.
You're gonna love my nut.
Right. So
Honest what?
Honest Wargamer. I have this lizard man that I painted for a friend of my brother. I used the slap chop method. Save.
Yeah, and keep in mind my painting skills are very obviously pretty rough. obviously my biggest problem, I think, was just thinning my paints. Like I painted my mimic, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh crap, it looks like it's funky looking. But my wife is
Oh, look at all
very
this
good at
fucking money I
painting,
have. Great.
And her, the reason why we
I
also
should get
got
some
into
more
this is because
stuff.
she's been trying to look for a hobby as well.
Man, I have to
Oh,
make so many to
Jesus,
get to the
man.
good ones.
You
What
did
Slap
that.
Chop-
What the-
In my other
what the
save, I
hell?
have
What
this.
Slap Chop does,
And
like
that
you
is
prime it
so
black,
good.
and
It's
then
so
you dry
quick.
brush it with white.
Ice makers. I should get an
Then
ice
after
maker.
that, you use these paints called contrast, which are like
Mixers,
watery paints
mini
that
fridges,
just-
and
they
knock
stain
boxes. I
whatever
could
is
use a
under
bigger
them.
one.
So where it's black, it does nothing, and where it's white,
And I should
it,
get.
like it the color.
It was a mistake to sell the kettle. I
So you
should
can
just get
see
another one.
on the scales.
There we go.
They're like
Skill,
dark in
upgrade.
between, and they're
Can't afford
light around
that.
the edges and stuff like that. That's just
Shop.
contrast doing what it
Whoops.
does.
Main
So
upgrade.
you just
Let's make it a little bit
dry
bigger.
brush this
Here.
thing white, and then you put
Look at
this
that. Perfect.
particular blue color contrast over it, and you get these scales.
My God.
And it's so easy.
Okay. So, but another question I have, painting related, those orange dots, like, how do you get that? Me, I always, even if I like thin the paint with like a lot white and I do it the tiniest drop, it just bleeds out of my character's face or their eyes. I'm just like,
Yeah, that's
Got-
too thin.
okay, so I gotta like balance it out, like, cause I have the
It's gotta be
hardest
like
time.
a creamy thing. It shouldn't
Right.
run. It should never
Sleepy
be
times, and then tomorrow I'm gonna hire some help.
It's like almost like a. Well, yeah, like a cream.
Yeah, it's like I also try not to dig in.
But that's another thing I'm having a hard time of. Like, I have like a character that has a tool belt, and I'm trying to paint the
You
gosh
take-
darn tools, and I'm
YouTuber,
like,
private stuff,
good
trying
like
to find out what they
you-
look like.
You get a feel.
Because it does
for
break
at
the
some
immersion,
point.
right?
A wet palette is also good. But
Yes,
like
yeah,
not
But
yeah,
now
I-
knowing
I got all
that they look
I got
nothing like.
wet
See,
palette
that's.
and-
Oh
Well,
my
then I
god.
wouldn't
I'm gonna be
say-
so curious, but
Usually
I'm
when
gonna
I
have
have
to
a
force
paint on
myself
my
to
wet
not
palette,
look.
I don't really thin it much beyond that because
'Cause
will
that's-
draw
that
out
would,
moisture
like,
from beneath it.
Ruin a lot of it,
Okay.
knowing what
noted.
crony looks
Yeah,
like.
but like with these orange dots, it's like. I usually start.
Like, is
with
she
brown,
at least
and then I
hot?
have like a medium orange and a bright.
Are we
orange,
like
yellowy
wood?
thing.
Wood
I just
wouldn't?
do like a little gradient. The
Oh,
thing is,
okay, so you're
once you-
layering that kind of.
yeah, once you're like
Ice machine.
10 inches away from the
I-
figure, you can't
Ice go
tell
inted?
that the gradient is only like 3 or 4 steps.
Right.
It all bleeds together. The stuff that betrays painting is when you photograph it and
Oh
you
my
can
God.
zoom in.
I
and
need
you can
milk.
See
I need
all
some
the little
milk.
bullshit things like, haha, I see what you did.
You
Because you can get way closer than normal. Actually, there's a webcomic called Penny Art.
For me, it would kind of ruin it.
I've heard of them.
Ooh,
I bought their
guess.
pins
This-
at PAX.
Nice. Yeah, that's their thing.
Oh, okay.
On
Ground. Depleted.
Monday, they did the most relatable comic I think I've ever seen them do, which is the black-haired character Gabe painting a marine and be like, oh, this is so nice. I'm going to share it. It takes a picture and look at the phone and it's just bullshit. It's like, that's always how I feel. Because like, oh, this
Right,
looks
I need-
great. I wanna
Hurry
show
up and get
this.
some
then
customers
take
in
a
here. I need
picture and hate
money.
it.
Dude, don't. I'm gonna go delete my
Hire.
mimic picture in general. Shut up. Don't look at it.
Man, I don't have enough to
I'm
just
trying.
instantly
Take a
hire.
picture in
God
general.
damn. Right, get in here.
hate you.
What do you need?
My wife's
No,
very
that
good at
is-
it though.
It's
so
not
I
enough.
actually asked her like, hey, if I get an army, would
Yeah.
you like to help me paint it? Just follow like the color guidelines. 'Cause
Thank you. Bye.
one of my here's a really dumb goal I have, in terms of how invested I am in terms of like my army. So great. So another reason why I chose Grey Knights is there's not a lot of them, and I just want to start out. I just want to start out fairly like simple. I don't want to get like 100 figures. Let's do this. I don't want to
No,
do
no, no.
that. I just want to start like
Horde armies are a tough place to start. Unless
What's
you're
funny with
going
Batara
with
is that she
Casey,
did,
they're so
like,
easy
she
to
did an accidental self-reveal. She was showing up
Yeah.
off something in her
paint.
makeup bag,
Guys,
and the,
it's-
and
I will
the
never-
mirror,
probably never
just
use
for a
it, 'cause
second,
it's not
caught her
good,
face.
But they're very
But, like,
easy
her
to
face was known
like,
before
bang
that.
paint.
Wow.
And how many years are you? So how many years of painting?
I think
are
she's
you
like a
in now?
part-time
So
model, too.
2020,
She's
so
very
this is-
cute.
Yeah, well, I started in like May 2020.
Okay.
So 4 years.
She's also got that, like,
Wow. Do you
real
have an example of your first
adult
model
woman
you painted?
fetish
I would love to see
appealing
a comparison
voice.
of, like then and now.
Probably.
God,
still
Rara
have them
kind
over
of has
here.
that
I have
too. Like,
touched
I don't
it
know
up
what's up with
since
Rara's
a
voice.
little
It's
bit, but I have kept
very.
them mostly the same. Just
Wait,
to
who did
remind myself.
Matara Khan? It's like a V
Yeah, yeah,
shoujo.
yeah. I always like seeing progression.
Not-
because that's
not
what
one
I'm
of
telling
the
myself. I had, like,
Hollows.
you know, I'm talking about some crap, but in my mind, I'm trying to follow the 18 minutes rule. Like, if I paint
Higher.
for at least
There we go.
20 minutes a day, who knows how good
Pay
I'll
some
be
bills.
a year
Thank
from
you.
now. You know, all
Hello,
that stuff,
ma'am.
and that's all it
What's your
takes.
name?
But
Does it say?
But yeah, one of my goals right
Rookie
now is,
barista. What's your name? Kitty.
I chose Grey Knights mainly because there's not a lot.
Thank
of
you,
them,
kitten.
And I could like really take my time.
Oh,
and
no.
Just, like, paint each one. But also one of my goals is like I have.
Here,
buddies of mine that are
this
really
is
good at
so
sync,
in
and
the
I
spirit of
try, and
GG.
I like get into painting as well. Like,
That the new
we wanna
hire is
get
called
together and just
Kitten.
have like a painting party and stuff like that. I want to make it to where
Cockroach girl.
each one of my buddies
Yeah.
paints their own Grey Knight, and I'm like, all right,
Mini
that's your Grey
Trio,
Knight. You
small
name them, I will bring them to
latte.
battle and tell you their story. Up, your guy died.
Yeah.
You're shot in the head.
Can't believe I
Like,
have a
really
kitten.
good. No, it's so sad, but he served his time well because I was
Doppio.
talking to some of the workers at the shop I go to, and they were saying that they did something called a
Then
tournament campaign, where they were like telling
and
a story throughout the
half
entire tourney. Like it was like a
done.
3-month thing.
Done.
And like, is that a thing on your guys' end?
Kinda.
Mm.
I'm not in 40k where I play, but I'm doing like a narrative thing
Yeah.
in Age of Sigmar.
Gigi would be so proud of me.
Where it's this
Here
book
is-
called
here at
Path
Beans
to
Go
Glory,
Binted,
and
We
it's
have to
the
call the
same thing
manager
40K,
daddy.
it's called
Just
Crusade,
just so you know.
Mm.
where you start with
If
like,
you're expecting, we are
certain
expecting
limitations, like
you to be at work.
and stuff like that. You have to
That employee manual is the funniest
Yeah,
shit
there's
she's ever done.
smaller
That was
amount of
incredible.
points to build an army from, and you earn and build up points, and you can requisition stuff.
Sweet.
And we're doing that for Age of Sigmar. We're in like round 3 of it. I think it's gonna go for 8. It's like a game a month basically, and it gets bigger and bigger.
So
Then at the end, there's
stories,
like a
the
leader-
stories progress.
So there's like a leaderboard, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Kitten, would you fucking...
Dude, that's crazy. And
And then some
I guess you
guys
don't
are
have your own
writing the
coffee
narrative
machine.
for it. So every
God damn,
mission,
fine.
now you're all in this place, and you run into
Right.
these
Small,
lizard people.
small
Right, right.
Americano.
Oh,
And then we kind of judge
That
out
is
what happens in it.
60 mils of this.
nice.
And
then, like,
some
based
tap
off of
water.
based off of the results of each round, he kind of twists the narrative. Like, oh, you guys are pushing forward into this one land. That's God. That's holy crap.
Right?
man.
Clearly.
God.
I don't know what an
So,
air
how,
fryer.
so I'll ask this obvious
Small
question. How much have
latte.
you spent total?
Half of this.
Oh, I have no fucking idea.
And do you have any like financial blunders of like, oh man, I bought this when it was too expensive, or I sold this when it was cheap, now it's high? Like, is there anything, any stories like that where you're just like, dang it, my god, like I could have bought that for cheap, or this guy was giving it away?
Well, none of that, but I do have like a couple armies that I've started and just never finished. Like, now I'm looking at selling Sisters of Battle stuff because I got into it because like that's a sick aesthetic, right? Battle nuns in like
Yeah.
tanks with pipe
Dude,
organs.
dude,
And
that's-
then
that's the
I'm
big
just
drop
I'm just
organ.
over it. After painting a couple units of them, it's like this is too fiddly and
What do you mean
like a
empty? There's
horde all
obviously stuff in it.
little weak chicks. Actually, the army is like extremely powerful now, but I'm just like, part of me is like, ugh, Imperial.
Yeah, this episode was
Imperial.
obviously recorded before
So
the
I'm
December
kinda
nerf.
looking at selling it. So I've also started
Sisters of Battle
Gene Steel
plummeted
cults,
to
which
like
are just
bottom
like these
performing factions.
upriser-
Now they just got a bunch
uprising
of
communist alien
nerfs.
worker people, right?
What communist? What?
They are workers who have been infected by tyrannids.
Sweet.
So like one tyrannid makes landfall.
I need more
somehow-
cups
somewhere
soon.
hiding in some cargo, and like infects
Supply
one person,
cups.
who then
More minis.
infects
Always
other
more
people.
minis.
And generations later, like 200 years later, the entire infrastructure of their planet is taken over by these mind-washed
I should also add some ice America. Oh
brainwashed
wait, that's the wrong one.
workers
There we go.
and now
Ice
officials and
Americano.
military and stuff like that. And then they just turn on the government and take over the planet,
Small
and then the
latte.
tyrannids come and eat it all.
That's horrible.
And then the funniest thing is that moments before everything is eaten, the brainwashed people kind of wake up and realized what they've done.
All right, have fun.
They all just die.
You're painting this army like nice.
Yeah. So it's just like these weird human alien hybrid people on dirt bikes and mining vehicles using like mining
Foamer.
charges
What'd
and
you just
stuff.
call me?
They're using their tools
Wait
to
a
fight
minute.
war.
Wait a minute. So you're saying that these are infected working men, and they're
Yes.
just like, wait, link me.
They're
Wait, this is-
miners
dude.
and like cargo haulers and stuff like that. They're just it's workers' solidarity, communism,
Dude, let's go. I'm
overthrow the aristocracy.
Did I order
They're
any
so
milk?
fucking rad.
No, I probably
okay.
didn't.
I'm kind of invested in this.
Mini
That's pretty
espresso,
awesome, 'cause
mini flat
another goal
white,
I have
and
in
a
terms of
big
if I
fuck.
ever build an army, I at least want. I don't want to have
God
an army
damn
of
it.
all
Okay.
Imperium. Like
Right.
I want to delve at least in one, in each how do I say, section of the galaxy, right? Like one Chaos army, one Imperium army, and then one like wild card faction that like I just think is really cool. And what you just described to me is pretty funny. Like that's awesome. They're just
Like I love the narrative of them. They're so difficult to play. Like I make these things, these like little summaries of each faction
okay.
that you can use in
So-
the edited version, right?
Please,
The Gene
yeah.
Stealer Cults is on the Xenos ones.
Hmm.
It's like number 3. Tyranid brainwashed working class hybrid humans.
Grocers turned over Jedi before overthrowing their. What the
Yeah,
fungoid
that's
hooligan
them.
brutes who are always looking for a bigger fight?
More is better, red is faster, teeth is money, biggest is strongest. It's
Here's
I
a
think
crazy
see-
thing too. I actually was considering doing orcs as well, just because I love RNG.
Big,
but, like when you're
they're
nice.
so funny.
Hell yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. Like their whole mindset is like, does the
Here's
does
another
this
pro
car
tip.
work?
Ice doesn't melt. You
No,
can just leave it in the
hits it-
shovel.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Like that meme, I was like, wait. So do they just not like? Are they mechanics or not? And everyone's like, kind of. Like if you truly believe, then
It's
this thing
like-
works. It's like that's
like,
that's
that's-
mechanicus. What the hell are you talking
That's it's kind of been blown out of proportion how much their like belief powers work, but that is basically how they work. Is that they're all a little bit like
about? They're wow.
warp sensitive, psyker sensitive. So if enough orcs believe the same thing, it'll just work by psychic warp powers instead of by actually working.
Right.
Stuff like that. There's the warp is like a weird and very
$200.
central
Yes, thank
concept
you.
to the
Medium
setting.
ice americano.
Yeah.
Fuck
Like
yeah.
this entire other dimension
yeah.
that is just if our universe is order, then that is the direct opposite. Like there's no rules, there's no up or down. It's hell basically.
Right.
And when you warp travel, you go through it. Like you have to travel through it to warp travel in the 40k universe.
Yeah, there's some Primarchs that like jumped in there and then they're just gone.
Jagatai Khan is in there.
Yeah, it's like, is he coming back? Like, what the
I think Lehman Russ is in there, and Corvus Corax is in there. I forget what Russ is in there for. Jagatai Khan is fighting Dark Eldar,
just
and
alone.
Corvus Corax is looking for Lorgar.
So
like the
s-
arch.
Is there no Primarch figures and are those like not allowed in game kind of thing? Because I feel like
There are.
okay, are they overpowered or is there a rule set on them? Because I feel like they're in lore
Depends.
they're like insane.
Their rules vary.
okay.
There's 2 loyalist Primarchs you can get right now. There's Rubute Gilliman, who is
Oh,
like the
Space
guy
Marine.
from the Ultramarines.
Ultramarine, yeah. He's the guy.
He's
blonde
basically
hair.
the de facto leader of the Imperium. As the Emperor is dead and can't do shit. So he's like,
quote unquote dead.
quote unquote dead. He's
Yeah.
alive, but is he? But not really. But he is.
When he
Lives.
dies, we lose our power to warp, right, or something like that. Like I remember.
We can still
hearing-
warp, but he's like the North Star, right? He's like the lighthouse.
Mm.
So
Okay,
so
that's a much
we'll be
better
we'll just be completely lost,
We'll be lost without our king.
and it'll be much harder to warp travel because he's like the one who opens the portals in a sense.
Right.
it can be done without it being much more difficult.
I love how me
And-
and my brother are into the lore of like the Emperor and stuff like that, because he like understands why people fall into chaos. It's like, dude, you kept me from feeling good with Slanesh, Emperor. What the hell? It's like, no, dude, that's bad. This is why I want to protect you. So, there is a deep understanding on both sides of like why these guys like ended up in the chaos and stuff like that. That's one thing I like about the story.
Yeah. I mean, people end up in chaos either because they want to serve the weird powers or because they hate the Imperium.
Yeah.
So like,
Need
in
to order
terms
more
of
milk.
chaos factions, I think half of them can be described as not per se chaos, but more like renegade. They're not Imperium.
Right.
But to the Imperium, that is the same thing.
Oh yeah.
That is heresy,
it's
and you deserve
heretics.
death.
Yeah, it's like that sounds like heretic talk to me, sir.
You're
Like,
not
oh,
following
dude.
the Imperial truth. Death.
Yeah.
Death to you.
Yeah, the very moment you're just like, wait, isn't there supposed to be more Primarchs? Okay, you're dead. It's like, wait.
That's too many questions, sir.
Exactly.
Uh,
but people hate
but
that.
yeah.
They're like, why can't I
So-
ask questions? It's like, no, you can't.
So in terms of Primarchs, there's also the Dark Angels guy, Lion L. Johnson.
That's the first guy, right? Or second guy? I wish I had them
Second.
memorized. I
He's-
remember Lion, yeah.
He's first chapter. Dark
Yeah,
Angels
yeah.
are chapter 1.
Yeah.
I forget what number Ultramarines are. I want to say
They're-
7, but I think that's Death Guard.
The only one I memorized is Salamander is 18. Ooh, 18.
18.
Yeah.
My guys are the Iron Warriors. 4. They're evil.
I think funniest part is
So those
I
are
don't
the
even think
two
Salamanders are 18. I think
loyalist
18
Primarchs
is
you can get
Raven Guard.
They're pretty good. They just got cheaper in the game in terms of points because no one's running them because they're too expensive and you just get more efficient stuff.
Right.
So they're
What are you
basically
waiting-
not seeing tournament
Oh,
play
required milk. Yeah, I know. I'm also
whatsoever.
waiting for
In
it.
terms of chaos, the three of the 4 big chaos Space Marine factions. So there's Death Guard,
my
Thousand
God.
Suns, World Eaters.
They're all just waiting for milk.
Those are all
They all need stuff with
standalone
milk in
Chaos
it.
Space Marine factions. Of
Ooh.
Not her though.
So there's like a bunch of normal, quote unquote, Chaos Space Marine factions, and then there's like one for each Chaos God. And
There's like
3
four,
of
there's
those.
there's 4 gods, right? Like
There's 4 gods.
Yeah.
So there's Death Guard who follow Nurgle, there's Thousand Suns who follow Sinch, World Eaters who follow Khorne, and there's Emperor's Children who follow Slanesh. Emperor's Children is the only one who doesn't have a standalone codex yet.
Now they
but I
do.
think they're getting it soon.
Nice.
3 of them, Death Guard, Thousand Suns, World Eaters, all 3 of their Primarchs you can get, and they've all been demonified. So they're huge. And
Ooh.
like the Thousand Suns, who are the ones you fight in Space Marine 2,
Yeah.
their guy is Magnus the Red. He's like this gigantic bird man. Who is central to how that army plays.
Wow.
There is not a single tournament Thousand Suns list without him. He is so fucking good.
Wow. That's cool.
For World Eaters, it's the same. Their guy Angron,
Like centerpiece for most of their
Angry
armies.
Man, just gigantic red demon with an axe and a sword. The axe was made, took 10 years to make for a whole planet, and once he got it, he murdered the entire planet with the axe.
Cool.
The sword he made by beating a Slaneshi demon to death with a bar of iron until it formed a sword. he is so angry. He's the angriest motherfucker in the world.
But that's what Khorne's about, right? It's just about anger,
Right.
fighting,
Anger.
and just like if
So,
I kill
like,
you, I
Angron-
win. Yeah.
Angron, from his, he was like raised as slave in like gladiatorial or whatever. So, on that planet, the way they riled up the warriors was by like nailing, I think they're called pain nails or something,
Cool.
into their
Called butcher's
breast
nails.
that causes like unimaginable pain unless you feel anything but anger. So he's just angry all the time.
Oh god.
And
Dude,
so
these guys are cool. God, yeah.
So his mechanic on the tabletop is that if he dies, he could just come back full health, new, fresh.
Okay.
Because in the lore, when he dies, he returns after 8 weeks, 8 days, 8 hours, and 8 minutes, or something like that. Because Khorne's number is 8. So he got killed during a battle, and then sometime later he was just reborn, new, fresh, and came back and started all over. He's not allowed to die.
So
'Cause
how's
that's the
how's
thing
that
about-
work in the tabletop game? Then so you kill him, he comes back. It's like, okay, I'm not even killing him. Then I'm just gonna keep fighting everyone
well,
else and
it's-
hold point.
But you don't have a choice. You have to kill him because he's so strong. Like he will just kill whatever he touches.
That's
he's not-
horrible.
He's not super hard to kill, but there's always a chance that he comes back. Because the way the army works is that you roll 8 dice and then you pick 2 buffs from the results you get. If you roll 3 sixes, he comes back.
Oh goodness, but that's 8. That's okay.
It's
that's
a
fair.
ve-
That's fair.
It's a very low chance, and you can modify it, and you can re-roll some dice and stuff like that. It's still very low chance of happening, but it's always a butt clincher. Like this tournament I went to in Germany, my first game, who I beat hard.
Ooh.
He was playing World Eaters, and I killed Angron, and he came back, and I killed him again.
Damn. Let's go.
Well, because the rest of the army is very expensive, so if you can just stand in the way of it and like make them waste their turn moving instead of killing you, then you can slap them back and they just fucking die. And I was playing Chaos Knights, and they're very good at that. Anyway, so Angron is like central to World Eaters. Magnus is central to 1,000 Suns. Death Guard is a little different. They have this guy Mortarion, who's like a big hooded guy with a Grim Reaper's scythe, and it's like they're all about death and disease and stuff like that. And Mortarion,
Because
Mortarion is-
Nurgle's all about like we're all gonna turn to dust and die and all that.
yeah,
crap.
it's like
Yeah.
decay and
Yeah,
disease
yeah.
and death and
Disgusting.
gross pestilence.
Yeah.
They're one of the coolest like model ranges. They got like a big redo in 8th edition, I think, and the model range is just it's gorgeous. But Mortarion, unfortunately, is not very good. He's like 300 points to bring, where Magnus is like 430 or something.
Has there ever been like a nerf or like an adjustment on the fly when there's a new release kind of thing? Like, how do I say? Oh look, we released this new character, and
Yes.
all of a sudden everyone's using it, and then it's like, oh crap, okay, we gotta nerf him on points or on something like that.
Kinda.
'cause- Okay.
They in the Xenos one, you'll see the dwarfs,
Yes.
Leaks of Votan.
All right, so okay, let's see.
They
That's so funny.
they released.
That was the one
they're
that was the
Xenos,
answer I was thinking
technically
in
they're
my
the
brain
super
listening to this
fraction
right
of
now.
Xenos, but they are like an offshoot of the Imperium. They lost contact with the Imperium, and now they're like standalone. Like they trade and they do business with the Tau and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're
or-
just hyper capitalist people.
Oh, and this reminds me of something.
Right. Rock and stone, brother. They got released with some of the most busted rule sets ever made. They got nerfed before they were even released.
Nice.
Because the codex leaked, and people were looking at it and was like, what are you talking about? They will murder everything just by looking at it. And they kind of had to change a bunch of stuff right away.
Not
They
even
were still very strong when
exaggerating
they came out,
there.
but it could have been.
They didn't have to roll a single dice, and they were just one shot at night.
so
It was
what were
fucking
these people
insane.
So this is Games Workshop, right? What the heck are they thinking? Is this still a mindset of like, I've heard around the community, like, is there a mindset where they do a thing where, hey, we're releasing a new army, we're gonna make them the strongest, the meta,
To sell it.
Yeah, so then it sells, because that happens a
I mean,
lot in like it's like, oh, here's the latest
That
set,
would
everything else
that would imply. Well, not
Oh.
imply, I guess.
Oh,
Like,
oh,
that
I can
would
get all of these now.
show
Why can I
there's
get
some
all of
kind
these
thought
now?
behind it.
Ho,
but-
ho, ho, ho.
Basically,
I'm
in
gonna
that
save
edition,
up.
It was a
I want a good one.
huge problem with some like called codex creep. Like every book was the new best thing because
Yep.
it would just
Yep.
stack on top of whatever came before it, right? And so they came out towards the end, as did Imperial Guard and World Eaters, and they were all very strong when they did. But Leagues of Votan was a completely new army. So of course they want to sell it, but
right, it's like,
I don't know how
yeah.
much to ascribe to, like, this is the new thing, we want to sell it, we're gonna make it bustedly strong. It would make sense, I guess, but it's also, like, nefarious in a way.
Right.
They're also just sometimes seems to be completely unaware of what the fuck they're doing. So 10th edition, they started it by making everything an index. So everybody had like very very basic rules. Everybody had one detachment. and it all got released at the same time. Some factions were dog shit, and one standout, Eldari, was insanely good. Like, it was fucking crazy what they could do, and all their units cost like a third of everyone else's. It's like nobody talked.
Oh, boo.
It's like
Why?
the rumor was that it was like 3 different teams worked on their part of the indexes, and they just didn't talk to each other. So they would come out with this incredible tank for 120 points, can shoot from anywhere on the board, shoot through its friends. It's like flat 6 damage, where other people get much more expensive tanks that are like random damage, and they have to see you and stuff like that. It's like, obviously one of these is better.
God.
And it
A
was
s- a straight
fucking
wait, so a
nuts.
guaranteed wound, like just every time it shot.
Basically, I mean, no. It had, okay. So Eldar detachment rule is reroll a hit and a wound of 1.
Okay.
That tank also has that rule. It shoots 2 shots. That means you reroll both hits and both wounds.
Oh.
It's high strength. It hits on 3s. It most likely wounds on 3s, if not 2s. It's very high armor penetration, and it's flat 6 damage.
Oh, jeez.
So that is insanely good. Where other tanks are like, okay, I hit on 4s, I'm strength 12, so if I'm shooting another tank, I'm wounding on 4s. I don't get any rerolls. It's bad AP, and then the damage is like D6 plus 1 or whatever. So it can be 2, it can also be 7. But if you're shooting 2 shots and you're guaranteed to hit, guaranteed to wound, most likely the opponent doesn't get an armor save because you're so high armor penetration, and you just do flat 6 damage. That's incredible. And you
Right.
cost like 2/3 of another tank.
That's horrible. Why? What are these
And that's what they
designers doing?
released.
Yeah. Have fun, guys.
Plus, Eldar have a mechanic where at the start of the game you roll, at the time you roll 12 dice, and you could just substitute those rolls at any point in the game.
How much did that cost on release?
What?
Well, how much did that the previous thing you talked about?
The tank?
The tank, yeah. How much did
The
that
tank
cost
was
on-
120.
Oh my god.
And then you look at, I think now it got nerfed to 180, which is like what similar tanks cost.
Mm.
It just, everything in the Eldar Codex started like 2/3, like a third lower than it should have been.
My god.
It was fucking nuts.
They do no playtesting up in there. Oh, Jesus.
Like, that's the rumor
Yeah,
from
yeah.
other playtesters, is that there were basically no
Oh, my
playtesting,
wrist. It's killing
and
me.
they didn't listen to the people who did it. Yeah, 10th edition was a fucking mess. It still kind of is. It was... Like, I miss 9th edition so much. But 10th edition had some...
Back in my day.
Back in my day, when Necrons were fucking horrible. Now they're pretty good. So, I mean, I like what they're doing in 10th edition, the way they've changed from 9th. But the way the rules are written and released is so scattershot and inconsistent. It's spread across like 5 different online documents. The rule book is basically useless. You get the core rule book,
Great.
and then you have to get the FAQ and the errata, and you have to... It's like, it's a fucking mess. It's like the edition launched with a 17-page like clarification document. It's like, when we say this, we mean this. That document is now 36 pages after a bit over a year. And there's an FAQ, and there's like tournament specific things and changes for the indexes and points change. And if you want to play a full like tournament game, you have to be assured with like 5 different online documents, and it's insane how spread out everything is.
So where are we in terms of like this season of 10th edition? Like, is there a thing of like 11th edition incoming? Is there going to be a whole
It seems to
reformatting?
be.
Like,
It
because
seems to
the
be-
popularity right now of Warhammer incoming, there needs to be kind of like an adjustment of like, all right, like we need
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
kind of reset. Like, what do you
I
think?
don't- what's weird is like I don't think they've planned on Space Marine 2 being coming out being a huge success in terms of that. There's basically no releases for the rest of the year they've
Okay.
announced,
Okay.
which is weird because the track record seems to be that every edition lasts 3 years. So they have about 18 months to release the last. I think half the armies or more still don't have codexes. They have 18 months to do that. And then they might just reset everything again. Previously what they've done is that codexes last for 2 editions. So for a lot of 9th edition, armies were playing with their 8th edition codex. But like 9th edition was written so that you could do that.
Huh.
If they release 11th edition, it might just be that some armies get to play their 10th edition codex throughout that. And they could structure it in a way so it makes sense. And then it would be,
Jeez.
so 11th would probably be next summer, so 2026.
Good at this.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think this should probably slow down a bit. It's like 3 years for an edition is not a long time when you have 26 playable factions that all need a book.
I mean, where we're at right now, it seems like Warhammer has a fairly bright future still because you have success of the game, people most likely getting into the tabletop. You got your boy Henry Cavill, who's producing.
Your boy.
Yeah, he's got a hand in producing the Warhammer live action that's like that they're working on, and they're saying that he's like the biggest Warhammer fan of all time with him and his custodes. We haven't seen him anywhere ever since Space Marine came out. It's like I don't know. It's there might be a wave here where like I think maybe 11th edition might come earlier, where it's like okay, all the new players are here, let's reset.
Yeah, I think. Well, all the new players will probably be collecting armies now, like yourself.
They got me. No.
They got you. But that's the thing. It's like there's a hobby lag, right? So you have to buy the models. You don't have to paint them to play with them, but you have to paint them to bring them to tournaments.
Right, and like I'm not gonna be entering a tournament this year. That's not happening. Like,
Probably not.
Right.
But there's no more releases for the rest of this year, and then after, like in the new year, I think the next stuff is Imperial Guard and Eldar are getting codexes.
Whoa.
Then they're gonna fuck everything up again because Eldar will always be busted.
Wow.
You can't write Eldar to be.
And guess what? I
the-
was right.
The best.
Eldar are out.
It took them
They're fucked up.
over half a year to nerf Eldar to be in line.
Nowhere near as fucked up as they were at the beginning of the edition, but still
It took them 5
pretty
nerfs.
dang.
2 of them to like
strong.
Universal Game Systems, and 3 of them to Eldar directly, and then they were in line.
My God.
It was insane how busted they were. And they're still very good, but now they cost a lot, so you just don't get as many little bullshit units to mess around in freeway to edition. I'd be very curious about the Henry Cavill show, what the timeline is for that. I fear that
That's my question
pro-
as well, because like
we
Warhammer Universe
probably
is
won't
too
see shit until 2026.
Yeah, I'm curious of what storyline they're gonna like zoom in on because the Warhammer universe is
That
too
too.
it's too freaking big. Because like learning about Titus and the Space Marines, this is like one tiny part of the entire timeline.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
the thing is,
like,
the thing about the timeline is that it moves slowly, but it fluctuates a lot. It's like a pulse on like a scanner at the hospital, right? It moves slowly, but it bobs up and down a lot. It's
Right.
very widespread. So like every book is basically written as an anthology piece in a sense. It's like they don't reference each other a lot.
but we gotta piece it together. Like holy
So
crap.
the Return of Lionel Johnson with Primarch,
Yeah.
they write a novel to go with that, but that novel is not like a direct continuation of anything or a prequel to anything. It's just like a standalone story.
Interesting.
So they do like connected
Wow.
stories. There's if you get I think it's called the Ultramarines Omnibus.
Is that a book?
That is a book of other novels and short stories, focused about a guy called Uriel Ventris, and it's like takes him through several. It's like a collection of novels where he's like the main character. One of them is called Storm of Iron. That is like one of my favorites because the Iron Warriors are the main characters and they're evil, evil sons of bitches. That's great.
No.
And then that leads into Uriel Ventris isn't in that, but the main villain in it, Hanzo, is in. He's very instrumental in some horrible shit that happens to Uriel Ventris later on. So those books are all connected because they share characters. But then you read something like The Infinite and the Divine, which is like an all Necrons focused book that takes place over
Perfect.
10,000 years.
Exactly what I had in stock right
That's
here.
not connected, except it references the Horus Heresy happening, and it's like how it meant nothing to Necrons because they were just like, well, and then the stupid primitives did this, and it's like whatever.
Right.
It's like they knew it was gonna happen because they can like foresee the future. They just didn't give a shit because it's so inconsequential to anything on a galactic scale.
Right.
It's really important to the Imperium.
Yeah, because
but
it's the Imperium fighting with themselves, but they're just like, haha.
It's a huge intergalactic war, right? But to the Necrons, it's just like, whatever, fucking mayflies, they'll be gone in 10,000 years, who cares? I fucking love the Necrons. They're my favorite.
Yeah, let's get
Grumpy.
let's get into that. So so favorite sounds like Necrons.
Oh, I mean,
Like,
easy Necrons.
Easily, okay.
They're like the progenitor species of the whole setting. Like their timeline is crazy. Cause like, okay. At the very beginning,
No.
There once was a-
Yeah.
there once was a people called the Necrontyr. They were like flesh and blood people, but they lived around a star that irradiated them, and they all had like super cancer, right? No one would live past 40. That meant there were a very aggressive species and like expansion and stuff like that. So they basically conquered the known galaxy, and ruled it for millions and millions of years, until they found a species that they refer to as the Old Ones, the Great Old Ones. This lizard-like species that
Hell
seem to
yeah,
live forever,
brother.
so
Look at
basically
this.
gods,
Now we're
right?
fucking
Space gods.
cooking.
And they
These
asked
bins are
them,
about to go so
"Please, can you
binted.
help us live longer? We die so easy.
Hell
we
yeah.
spend entire planets just to make tomb complexes. Everything is a fucking grave, right?" So even then, it was already grimdark. Like this entire galaxy-wide species, completely obsessed with death, because everybody was dying all the time. Everything is a fucking necropolis. So they're like, "Please help," and the gods were like, "No." And so the Necrontyr said, "Okay, bet," and they went to war with them.
just out of anger, they're like, all right.
Yeah, fuck you! Don't deny me my immortality, please. And so like, well, die then. The Necrontyr got their asses kicked though, because they couldn't do anything. So they met these other gods, star gods, called the Catan, who made a deal and said, "We can make you immortal, and we can help you fight. If you help us fight the Great Old Ones, we'll make you immortal." And the king, the Silent King, Sarek, said, "I bet." And so his entire... They built these bio-furnaces on all planets, and everybody was led into these green flames and became the Necrons, the metal skeleton people we see in the setting today.
Glowing green.
Glowing green, metal, men, women, children, didn't matter. Everybody was dragged to these furnaces and stripped of their flesh and made robots. And they're now immortal. What they
Nice.
didn't know is that it would cost them their soul. The Catan love eating souls, and so they ate all the Necron souls.
All right.
So now we have these soulless, crazy androids who then went to war with the Great Old Ones alongside the Catans. They fucking nuked the Great Old Ones. They're dead. And then after some time, while the Catan were like fat with like they were all full and digesting, and they started eating each other because like, okay, we ate all these trillions of souls. What if we eat Catan souls? And they start fighting each other.
God.
And
Here
the
you
king
go.
was
Now
like,
this
okay,
is how-
activate
This is the fucking
treason
future.
protocols, and they fucking
Wait till you
used
see how
the
quick
Catan,
this is.
shattered them into.
Look at that.
Only
Now.
one Catan was truly killed. The rest were shattered, and that's why you can use them in your army. Like you bring a shard of the Nightbringer. It's like death incarnate, like this big ghost man with a scythe. Like you bring shattered gods to the tabletop.
How the
right?
heck were these guys able to take down gods? What the heck is this?
Because Necron technology is like basically magic. They use math to like time travel and shit like that. They can bend reality with just the power of science.
Nice. Okay.
They're so fucking smart. So after that, they were like, all right, we're weak. Okay. Oh, another thing, really important to mention is that in their war with the Necrons, the Great Old Ones, created the Eldar and the Orcs as like bioweapons to help fight the Necrons, but the Necrons were too strong.
Oh,
So the
no.
Orcs were created as like this primogenitor species called the Quarks, which were way bigger, way smarter, incredible warriors, but still not enough. And the Eldar were the Eldar, so they were like very psychically adept, and
What's that one?
tricksy and stuff
Time
like
is
that.
money?
None of it worked. So after the Necrons were done killing 2 sets of gods, they were exhausted of resources, and
Time is money.
Quarks
Earn
and Eldar
10,000.
were too, like, up in arms or whatever. So the Silent King said, "All right, everybody go to sleep," and they set an alarm for 65 million years. Why they're all waking up in the year 40,000.
So just bad timing on our end.
Ba-
Just like, oh crap. who are these
Basically,
guys?
yeah, kinda. Basically, they were like, okay, we are now immortal. We don't have to fight the Eldar or the Quarks. We're just gonna go to sleep for 60 million years, and they will go extinct on their own. And they weren't completely wrong. Like over time, the Quarks didn't fight enough. Orcs get stronger by fighting, and there was nothing
Nice.
to fight. That's why they've gone dumb and weak.
Oh.
Like they're still super strong, but they were way stronger. So they got much stupider and much weaker, and they're now what they are in the setting, which is just like the big muscle man.
And Primarch Vulcan fought one of them.
The Eldar basically ruled the galaxy undisputed for millions of years after that, and that's when they fell into depravity. Because like they had everything, they lived long, they were beautiful, blah blah blah. So and they're very like in tune with their they're very emotionally sensitive in a sense. They experience all emotions at a way higher level than anyone else because they're so attuned to the warp. So they were just like seeking the most extreme experiences, whether it's like drugs or music or sex or whatever.
Nice.
So they did that like in crazy orgies for millions of years until they birthed the 4th Chaos God, Slanesh,
Oh
who's
no.
like the god of excess.
Yeah. Everything. So it's
at-
like all pleasure and everything else, and they're like, nice.
Just any people like to. It's like a kind of an annoying thing is that anytime Slanesh is brought up, it's always in the context of sex, but it's like just anything in excess, like
right.
gorging on food,
Oh,
playing
God.
loud music, stuff like that. Just any feeling driven to its extreme.
Right.
That is Slanesh. And when Slanesh was born, she basically, well, she. It's kind of ambiguous.
Of course.
Like it's a very female form when they're depicted, but they're referred to as the Prince of Pleasure and stuff like that. She who thirsts.
Right.
She who thirsts basically wipes out like 99% of Eldar. Just sucks their souls in, kills them on the spot. And they're now bound to her realm of chaos and they're being tortured forever.
Right.
Some Eldar were like, right, fuck this. So before everything went to shit, they went off on their own little crafted planet called Craft Worlds. And so they escaped that cataclysm. And what is now known as the Dark Eldar were people who escaped into the Webway. And they live in this ginormous place called Komara, like the Dark City. Basically like a seaport in the webway. The webway is like so there's like the
So
material
the
plane,
webway is
there's-
not the warp.
The webway is not the warp.
Okay.
It is a safe way to travel around our galaxy without ever entering the warp. It's like this,
Okay.
like this spider web of little pathways in between.
And does
real-
everyone have access to that, or just the Eldar?
The Eldar know how to get there.
Oh, they're
Um,
smart. So
In old Necron lore, they could use something called the Dolmen Gate to like hack their way into the webway.
Okay.
I don't think they do that anymore. Part of what caused the Imperium to go to shit is that the Emperor was working on a portal to the webway himself.
Wow.
And then Magnus kind of busted in and made everything fall apart, and it caused like a huge like chaos eruption on Earth. And that's why the meme is
No.
that Magnus did nothing wrong. Basically because he didn't know that he was interrupting because the Emperor didn't tell anybody anything.
Why
So he was
did you
doing-
tell us?
So he ran to the Emperor to warn him about chaos, and that kind of it made everything explode and turned like everything went to shit.
No.
So the webway is just this safe port, this safe travel around the galaxy that only the Eldar know how to use. But in the webway also live the Dark Eldar, who they stave off the hunger of Slanesh by doing basically Slaneshi things. So like by indulging Slanesh, they avoid getting eaten. So what they do is like they
Okay.
conduct raids on real space, like on the galaxy, just steal people away, and they torture them forever.
Just
Keep them up-
random bystanders. Like, all right, so
Yeah, they'll just go to a planet and kidnap the entire population, take them to Komara and do horrible things, have gladiator fights, turn them into furniture, living. It's just they are like a fascinating. I also kind of started collecting them a little bit, just because I like that they're elves that don't use the warp at all. They don't use magic. What they are is like fast-moving gladiator combat
Wow.
jet bikes and like space pirate aesthetic, and I fucking love that. They're very weird right now in the tabletop where they can be super strong and they are also just made of glass. Like they're the definition of glass cannons. They die so quick.
damn.
Whenever they get a codex, I might start collecting them more. They're so cool. Like this black armored, spiky, evil dark elves, right? They have all these covens. Like so, there's like the Frankenstein part of it, where people who craft extra arms and wings on things. There's the gladiator witches. And
What the
Just the-
heck is this?
Yeah. they're fucking badass. Yeah. So that's okay. So year 40,000, Necrons start waking up again. Kind of started waking up a bit earlier some places because the Mechanicus would go poking around and like tomb complexes would appear on different planets, like people would dig too deep. Or,
Right. Oh, what's this? And then,
or maybe the
Yeah.
tomb worlds just like malfunctions, or anything could happen really that makes some people wake up sooner than others. The Silent King, though, the guy who caused the whole everybody to lose their souls, he did not go to sleep with his people. He went on a self-imposed exile to the galactic void. Like, he left the galaxy for 60 million years
And he came back.
just to sail the Sea of Stars. What he did, like, it's casually just dropped in the... They got a codex in December, and I don't feel like people just kind of glazed over this. It's like a 2-page spread about what he did in his... like, about his life, and then what he did in the exile. He has conquered, like, galaxies, plural, for his people to inhabit. His plan is to bring his people back to flesh bodies to cure their
Oh.
state. So, but the thing, like, okay, so they can go back to their flesh bodies, but you can't recreate a soul, not yet. So they're like working on recreating souls, and that's why they're interested in humans, because humans are like the perfect balance of psychically. They're connected to the warp, but not too much. There's a trillion, billion, million of them, so it's easy to get specimens to study.
Okay.
and stuff like that. So he just went off for 60 million years, conquered some galaxies, and then he discovered something in the void. It's not said what it is, that made him return to our galaxy and wake his people up.
So he's gonna try to cure his people, but then there'll be no more Necrons if they become humans. Like, what's his
But
plan?
then they will just become the Necrontyr again.
Oh, sorry, the Necrons.
The plan is just to recreate what they were and undo. He's so ashamed of what he did
Oh, that's nice.
that he was tricked by these Kitans and had his entire people's souls eaten. And now he sees what it's doing to his people. Like, without souls, they go crazy. So anything that isn't nobility,
he found something that could create souls in the warp. My God.
or he met like a threat that had to be staved off. Like the running theories that he encountered like hive mind or something like that. He's also very anti-warp, anti-chaos. So part of the storyline in recent years is that he has made something called the Pariah Nexus, which Necrons have pylons that can control warp energy. Like you see them in Space Marine 2,
Yes.
where they can like enhance or shut down warp stuff. It's called like Noctilith. It's like night stone or whatever, black stone. So he is like this entire part of the huge part of the galaxy where these pylons make a network. They connect and they shut down like warp energy in between. So demons and stuff like that can't spawn in there, but it also disconnects human and other living things from the warp. And when you disconnect a human from the warp, that kind of kills the soul and they become these mindless husks and stuff like that. So there's, I forget if it's in a book or if it's just in the codex, but it tells of these imperial planets that just kind of go like morose, like they stop communicating. People are just like zombies and stuff like that because they don't have any connection to the warp. But Necrons don't give a shit because they don't have souls.
Right, like, oh, this works. This works for us.
And it gets rid of the chaos taint. Like, there's no demonic incursions and stuff like that. So only the most stalwart, like, imperial citizens, like Sisters of Battle or Space Marines, people with strong willpower and other magical means, are able to kind of keep going in there.
Goodness. So wait a minute. So the Necrons and like that god that was in the warp that came back, they've never encountered the Tyranids yet, or like what's the relationship
they have.
there?
They have.
Okay, they have. Okay.
They hate each other.
I
for the
assume
for like opposing. Yeah, I mean obviously.
Yeah.
But for weird, like because you can't really be enemies with a Tyranid. They don't have personalities, right? But a Tyranid's entire goal is to just consume.
Right.
All they do is eat. Like they reduce
hive
a
mind
planet.
see and they just go. Like
There is the central hive mind that's just commanding these gigantic armies of feeder ships.
That is a reason why I like the Tyranids. It's just like
they're driven by one
one
simple thing, and it's just consume my child.
Yeah.
And that is a huge threat to Necrons. Necrons aren't in danger because they're made of metal. They're not biomass. The Tyranids don't want to eat Necrons. But Tyranids are a danger to Necrons because if Tyranids win, then there's no people left to study and like recreate. If they eat the galaxy, there will be nothing left to rule.
Well, yeah, like we can't let them. It's that classic thing of like we can't let them do what they want to do. Like it literally doesn't benefit any of us.
And that's kind of where we get to the whole idea that like people were fighting on Twitter over
what?
The good guy of 40k. Are there any good guys in 40k?
No.
Like, well, Tyranids are the good guys because they're not evil. They just eat, and the orcs aren't evil because they just want a good scrap. And the Imperium is the good guys because they're the main characters. And it's like that's not the same thing.
No, dude, the things that the humans and the Imperium have done is it's war atrocities. It's the monster.
everybody either wants galactic conquest or they want to serve their own goals at the expense of everyone else. Like, no one is looking to rule together or to save the galaxy. Except for the Silent King, and that's why the Necrons are the good guys. Well, that's the thing, right? It's like, okay, Silent King kind of wants to fix the galaxy and kick out warp. He wants to get rid of the Tyranids, and he wants to shut off chaos access and like the big warp rifts and stuff like that. Those two things are objectively good. But he wants to do it so he can rule, kill everything else and rule the galaxy. It's like, he wants to save his people and he wants to fix the galaxy. That's good.
Yeah.
But he wants to kill everybody else. That's bad.
Yeah. Or like, you know, I'm killing everyone for my
So
people.
it's like everybody is the good guy from their own perspective.
Right.
And because all of the story is told by the Imperial perspective,
We
people
think
just
that
assume
yeah,
that
the
humanity is the good guys. But
right.
every book and game and piece of media opens with the little blurb that comes at the start of Space Marine 2. It's like, to live in this time is to be a part of the most cruel regime of mankind of all time.
It is
Like this galaxy-spanning, hyper-religious, fascist, terrible regime. Just tyrants and blind zealotry. People who get lobotomized for thinking the wrong thing just turned into like a living computer.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
being made into a dreadnought within like the Imperium is like worse.
That's an honor.
That's worse than death, dude. What? The
289.
Oh,
Let's
brother,
fucking
you
go.
almost died there.
We're getting there,
Live
boys.
in go in the forever
This
box.
is so getting so expensive.
And then
This
you
coffee
wake
is
up
still
and you're just like,
getting brewed.
you're just
No, but it's
going
like-
nuts, dude.
It's
Let's
like, oh,
add
you accidentally set 20 Primarchs instead of 18. Now you
filter
get to be
coffee.
the-
Gotta bump
the
those prices
skull
up.
that controls this
There
specific
we go.
door until you
Mini
stop working.
Cortado.
It's like everything in the Imperium is driven by servitor human computers.
Yeah, what's with the babies? What's with the flying babies? What is
There's
that?
also the babies.
Yeah.
I mean, in the olden days, that was just like, oh, it's a dead baby. We're gonna repurpose it. Now it can carry things. It flies around and carries things. Now it's like been retconned into like they're vat grown. For what reason, I don't know. Why couldn't it be a little flying robot or a drone? But it's like, well, that's the kind of the thing is that the Imperium shuns like AI and machines and autonomous machines because as all good sci-fi settings, there was an uprising. They had AI and then it fought back.
No.
So now they're not allowed to. That's why everything is like tech priests doing sermons. Invention is forbidden. You're not allowed to invent things. You're only allowed to you're only allowed to rediscover old inventions.
So what's the Mechanicus doing then?
They're discovering old shit. Like they go
Oh.
digging for what's called STCs, standard template constructs, which is like blueprints for shit that was invented in like the golden age of humanity, which was like a year
So
15 to 20,000 or whatever.
so can you lie and be like, look what I found? What's a new
Yes,
invention?
and they do all the time. But that is heresy. That is tech heresy.
Oh my.
And the evil Mechanicus, just called the Dark Mechanicum, they are they're like heretics because they insist on inventing, right? So they're basically they join chaos just because the Imperium won't have them. So they infuse demons into their machines. 'Cause now they're evil.
So that I understand with going to chaos. It's because the Imperium, you know,
Because the
We're not-
dogma of the Imperium is too strict.
yeah, and that's why I can understand why some guys turn to that.
And so
side
you
where it's like,
become a renegade because you don't want to follow the rules, but then you only really have allies that serve the chaos powers and stuff like that.
right.
But yeah, the Mechanicum is strictly against invention.
Dude,
They-
that blows my mind. Like, what the
But they skirt the rules a lot, right? So
right.
a funny thing, it's like if you find an STC, a fully functioning STC, you will be handsomely rewarded. The most famous example is that the combat knife that all Space Marines have came from an STC found by 2 guardsmen. Each of them were rewarded an entire planet.
That's awesome.
They just got a planet for them to govern and rule and live on. For
Nice.
finding this intact STC for a slightly better knife.
Oh, you guys like nice.
And
Like
so-
you find this
and
chainsaw.
then
Hell yeah.
You have the faction Leagues of Votan in the Xenos faction, who kind of drifted off from humanity and stuff like that. They worship these things called the Votan, which they call like their ancestor cores and stuff like that. And they're basically just fully functioning STCs, so they could just create anything really. But they're like now, because it's grimdark, they have to be kind of
Oh, that's my ice machine
dysfunctioning
poking
in
through
that
the
they
wall.
They can
Nice.
only ask them once 100 years, and they're going
Small.
crazy and they're giving
And
false information and stuff like that.
60 ice. There we go.
So yeah,
60
the Mechanicus is
espresso.
always
There we
looking for
go.
new STCs because they're not allowed to invent anything, only rediscover.
But that would mean that there's a finite amount. So if they
And
discover
some delicious
everything,
tap water.
It's like now what's the Mechanicus' job after they discover all the technology?
But how will you know that you found it all?
Yeah, dude, you're asking the wrong dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd
Let's
immediately
hire
turn to
another
chaos,
guy.
Like, hey, we found everything.
But that's
Lola.
what's so funny
Kitty
about
and
it, is, like,
Lola.
they're the science
Hell
faction,
yeah.
and their entire job is to find stuff and figure out how stuff.
And Gigi would be so
Because
proud
like
of me.
golden age of technology, humanity
Here at Bean
stuff
Beanscope Binted.
was insane. Like, it's a gun
Okay.
that just teleports planets to who knows where. It could just like take bites out of the galaxy and stuff like that. And no one knows how it worked or where it is or how to get it. Like there's a couple of weapons still left over from that time, and they're extremely powerful. So at some point,
Milk,
for a
milk.
short span of time, for like 10,000 years,
Man, should I
humanity was
get?
like
Should I
technologically
upgrade to
the
some
most advanced.
Wow.
some fraps?
And how long
Besides
ago
the-
was
besides the Necrons?
how long ago was the golden age?
I should use this one.
before the
25
Heresy?
degrees,
I think it
delicious.
was
Here you go,
around,
sir.
Like 10,000 to 20,000,
Okay.
and then
That'll be
at some point,
$267.
there was, like, the Age of Strife,
Yes.
Where-
Age of Strife.
the
I should
humanity
get.
spread
I should
too
start
thin,
serving
and
snacks.
There was a bunch of like
Um,
rebellions and
fridges.
stuff
We
like
should
that,
get
and they kind of became
supply
disconnected from
fridge.
the wider Imperium.
we should get some food and snacks.
There was also something. I think the birth of Slanesh kind of fucked it all up. Made
go.
everybody lose.
Medium filter.
Like they lost connection.
Here you go,
because of
sir.
it, because of the
44
influence
degrees.
of
I made
energy
this
across
2
the
days
entire
ago.
galaxy. And so now all these weird little splinter societies existed, and then from somewhere to 30,000, the Emperor showed up and did like the reunification of
This
wars,
place
where
is
he
so empty.
just went on a galaxy-wide crusade to reconquer Imperium worlds.
Goodness gracious. And this is all
That's how-
before the heresy?
This is all before the heresy.
Jesus.
So that's where he makes the Primarchs, and they get spread to the winds and found again, and
Yeah.
he reconquers a lot of the galaxy, not all of it.
Finds
And
his son.
at some point,
90, there we
half
go.
the suns.
Some
fall
tap
to
water
chaos
for you,
and
sir?
hell.
Wouldn't want yourself.
Actually, yeah.
Wouldn't want you
There's still
burning your
some
mouth.
side
This
splinters.
scalding hot coffee.
I think
There you
that's
go.
the first of the first heresy books.
Delicious.
There's
And some
a
tips.
society
Yep,
where,
yep, yep.
Like their leader calls himself the Emperor. He has like convinced the planet he's on that he is the Emperor, so
Nice.
they serve him as such.
Nice.
And so of course the Emperor
Do I
and
have anything
Horus
here?
and stuff like that
Supply,
has to go
decoration,
there.
others. No.
and kill him.
What else is here? Milk.
'Cause you can't do that,
Coffee.
that's heresy.
Yeah, I remember someone saying that the Horus Heresy and like the Age of Strife were the most quote unquote documented points in the Warhammer story.
Yeah.
Are we still like so
Nice
everything
cars.
you told me about the Necrons? Like I
They all
assume
have
that
the
stuff
same
is still being
license plate.
written, like as we speak, and
Yeah,
like-
kinda.
it
Uh,
doesn't look like there's like an
hmm?
end in sight, obviously, but
No.
you know they could just keep going because there's just so much crap. in
Here,
the
I'm gonna catch
presence
it.
of, like,
Catch it.
Because like I said, like the current
did.
phase in the storyline is told in like these little.
I was kidding,
bite-sized
but I did it.
chunks
Mm.
And anthology stuff. Like new books don't have to be written in the current year of the timeline. Like some of them just take place in the past.
Okay.
But basically every edition has like a bit of lore in it, in like the core launch rulebook.
Wow.
It's usually like a companion novel. So for 9th it's called Indomitus, and for this it's called Leviathan, because that was like the launch. That was the name of the edition.
Okay.
So currently, in current year 40k, the Necron thing is not the spotlight right now. It's the 4th Tyrannic War, where like the Leviathan Tyranid fleet, which I think is also what you're fighting in Space Marine 2.
I
Like
think so.
the-
Yeah.
The Tyranids have redoubled their efforts and are now attacking on more fronts than ever before.
We're more hungry than ever. Like, okay.
Yeah, right.
This is rad.
So like they're coming back for the 4th time.
what the hell?
And yeah.
And we still don't know where this hive mind leader
No.
is. Like,
Wow.
just somewhere in the warp. Just where?
Somewhere in the warp. No, not in the warp. In like in the space between galaxies.
Goodness.
And the thing about Tyranids is that they're arriving from several places, like all around the galaxy. So the theory is that we're surrounded. by-
Yeah, they were saying like a Tyranid like horde or like a legion of Tyranids is like a death sentence for a planet. Like
Mini flat
someone's
white.
saying that in Space Marine 2, you know, it's supposed to tell the story of the Thousand Sons and Titus. That Tyranid swarm at the beginning was supposed to be like, that's it. You guys aren't getting out of this. Like it's done.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah,
that's how
there-
many there are, which is so sick.
There's no way like a couple Space Marine can fight off a full Tyranid invasion.
Right. That's just how
It's,
overwhelming they are, and that's why when you explained they're coming out from different
Yeah, that's-
corners, I'm like, uh-oh.
You're basically fighting like a little scout fleet or whatever in Space Marine 2.
Yeah.
That's like a
Might do the
feeder
Zergs.
tendril.
Yeah.
Like it's described as a tendril because like when you look at the galactic map of Tyranid invasion, it's just like this branch of of organisms like sneaking away.
$400. Thank you, sir.
And that's why they do the gene stealer cult.
We
things sometimes.
should.
It's like they put this seed of one single alien on a planet.
What
to
do I
weaken it,
need?
Because in 100 years,
I need
the
more
whole thing
people
will
to
be
come
so
in.
infested with alien that they can just like
This
like
one-
the Tyranids will signal, okay, we're coming now, and that'll set the bell. It's like,
Popularity.
okay, time to rebel, and then a month later, the Tyranids will arrive and eat whatever's left.
This
God,
one.
playing a long game, man. These guys are smart.
This
They're
one.
smart.
There we
They're
go.
fucking ingenious.
God.
And the Tyranids are cool,
I
but they don't
do
have a
like
lot
them.
of. But they don't have a lot of narrative because you can never tell a story with the Gene Stealers. No, not the Gene, with the Tyranids as being
Tyranids.
characters, because they don't have.
They don't
a
have a goal.
personality.
Yeah, they don't
And
have
a sandwich.
Goal. Or,
Here
like,
you
they
go.
have a goal that's kind of like,
They have a goal, but
How do-
it's like
how do you tell the
a
story of,
primal
like,
instinct.
yeah.
You can't really tell the story from the perspective of a Tyranid because there's no such thing as a Tyranid. They're all sharing the same brain. Then you would have to tell it from the perspective of the hive mind, and I don't think that would be bold. I don't think they could do that. What they did do, though, is they wrote a book called Ascension Day, which is from the perspective of Gene Stealer cults. And that book is great. It's not very long either. It's very, very cool. It's like follow the perspective of these Gene Stealer cults who just think they're just doing the normal good thing. They think they're serving the Emperor, except their Emperor has like 4 arms and a wider mouth than the normal one, and it's like they just think that their depiction of the Emperor is more accurate, because to them the Emperor is a Tyranid.
Oh my gosh.
And they think of like the saving angels, that is the Tyranid hive fleet arriving.
I
Like
feel
you get the perspective of just like their warped sense of reality, and it's fucking fascinating.
I feel like if you were to do like a witness of like the Tyranids and like tell about their story, it'd have to be like a documentary. You just got to tell about
Kinda.
what
It-
yeah,
it
they
would
tell
have
about
to
what
be
they've done,
from,
not the why, but like
like,
what they've
a-
done so far.
And that's what makes them great villains, right? Because you can always tell a story about a space marine fighting carnifex like
580?
or something like that.
What the hell did he order?
You kind of just have to tell what's happening, not why.
Okay. So
Mini-
I'll ask this then. Okay, I'll ask this then. So in your experience, is there anything that sticks out in terms of like anything you hate about this hobby? Faction, playstyles, anything? Because your passion is like insane. I love this, right? But there's got to be something that sticks out. Like I hate when I'm playing against this. Gosh darn it.
I love the lore and I love the game, but I'm kind of getting a little bit over the tabletop part.
Okay.
I'm taking a break. Let's put it that way. That like I've mentioned a couple of times, I've gone into Age of Sigmar just because it's a different rule set, but it's the same great minis, right?
Right.
Games Workshop makes the best minis. They just do. There's no game system out there with better miniatures. They're so fucking beautiful. Also the most expensive.
Okay.
But you get what you pay for. Like, they look insane. And the Sigmar rule set is just... I think it's more streamlined, but the main thing that makes it better for me is that units are way more expensive, so armies are smaller. What I dislike about 40k right now is how cheap units are and how big armies are. And you still go to a tournament and you're expected to get your game done in 3.5 hours with these. It's like the difference between playing with 16 chess pieces and
okay,
30.
so by cheap units, you mean the cost of the unit within the game?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, I thought you meant how.
The models are still super expensive.
Okay,
So that's another like.
Right.
It's like it's easier to get into AOS, Age of Sigmar, because you need fewer units, so it's cheaper in that way. Like both monetarily, like it's cheaper monetarily, more expensive in game, because units are way more expensive.
So you think that's gonna be a negative side of new players getting into this hobby, right?
I think that's very restrictive.
Yeah,
like if
'cause
you're
that's
getting
mine
into
too.
some like what we're talking about, Mechanicus
Yeah.
is the most expensive army to collect, because the miniatures are insanely pricey for what you get, and they're all horribly cheap in game, because they're just not very good. So to make them more appealing, they have consistently been buffed by being made cheaper. So a tank just gets 10 points cheaper, 10 points cheaper, 10 points cheaper, but the money price is the same. So like price per point, they're the most expensive army to collect.
Okay, that's a equation I haven't been taught yet, which is
Yeah.
I assume that really does decide what kind of army you are gonna pick up.
Yeah. Grey Knights are pretty good for like points per dollar because they're very elite. Because you're bringing like Terminators and these more elite Space Marines and tanks and stuff like that.
And there's only a few of us. You take one down, I'm pretty sure it's horrible. Like, no, we lost. No.
The Henry Cavill army, Custodes,
Custodes, whoa!
is famously one of the cheapest armies to collect. Because you're bringing like 20 dudes and maybe a couple tanks.
Yep.
And that's it.
A bunch of Chads. Let's go.
Because every single dude is like as good or better than a character unit from any other army.
Yeah, lore accurate. Let's go.
Yeah, they're so strong. Currently, they're not super good, like, because the game is very lethal. So a guy with a good armor and a lot of health just dies.
Damn.
If you're not hiding, you just go away. So my main issue with the game of 40k right now is like how much stuff you bring to the table, the number of units you have, and how cheap everything is. And like you said with playing on tabletop, like the esportification of the game, everything has been very streamlined. I feel like a lot of rules from 9th have lost a flavor. 9th edition, I think, in terms of like flavor and codexes and stuff like that, was pretty much perfect. Everything felt unique in its own weird way. Now everything is kind of like washed together. It doesn't feel very flavorful. It's still pretty good. Like I like my Necrons, but they don't have. Oh, Chaos Knights had the greatest shit. Because like they're supposed to be these big fucking evil robot guys who are so evil that they kind of like they conjure up storms wherever they go. They darken the sky. They cause dread and stuff like that.
Ooh, that's cool.
That is cool. And in 9th edition, it was like every turn you picked from it like an ever-evolving chart of a new buff that stacks on top of whatever you already have. So the state of the battlefield just became worse and worse for your opponent for every turn that passed. They don't have that anymore. Now it's like you get one thing turn 1 and then another thing turn 3 and that's it. And they still work by scaring the enemy, like they modify their like morale and stuff like that, which
Right.
can be pretty like it can have an impact, but it's not
What's in a
as
misto?
Not,
think
not
I've
as
ever
good as,
made
as
one.
back then.
Was.
Yeah.
It was like a whole chart where like if they fail a
Misto,
dread test,
misto.
you have their charge.
Filter
So
coffee
if
and
they're
milk,
6 away from you, now
50-50.
They have to roll a 12 because they're
That's
scared.
pretty easy.
That's awesome.
Damn.
You could, and you made people run away easier and stuff like that.
Damn, you put
It's
them on
like-
the you put them on the time clock then. Like they
Right.
need to attack you now, or else everyone's gonna be too
Right.
freaking
Heated
scared.
milk.
And it was very
Well, they
funny
say
when
that,
playing
but it
against
doesn't
something
have
like
to
orcs
be,
who
so
have horrible morale.
jokes on them, I guess.
And
on
you
you.
modify
Let's do
their-
mistos.
They want to fight you, and they have terrible like leadership stats.
Big
Great.
You
filter
modify it.
coffee. Well,
So
now a
when they
misto is
charge
probably
you, they
gonna
have
be
to
a
make a dread
problem.
test, and then if they roll,
Because filter coffee takes a long
I think
time to
if
make.
they roll lower than their leadership, and then you modify that roll by being big and scary, and then you just mess up their charges, and suddenly their entire army is standing in front of you, just like we couldn't charge anything. Now we're gonna get fucking shot. That was sick. And like for Necrons, you had to pick like directives before the battle. Like you had to order, in this turn I get this buff and so on. You had to do that before battle to like mimic their like strategic mastermind or whatever, because they're robots. Stuff like that just doesn't really exist anymore. It's all. A lot of armies have a thing where, for one turn you get one buff. Like Space Marines have one of the most popular detachments, called Gladius Task Force. So you get 3 like doctrines. So for one turn, everything can advance and charge. For one turn, everything can fall back, shoot, and charge. For one turn, everything can advance and shoot. So you have to like pick your turn to get one of these, both like very applicable buffs. And Sisters of Battle have something like that now. Orcs have to pick a turn where they go all out. They go crazy. They get a better
Wah.
save and they hit harder. They do the wah.
Yeah, wow.
And it's like, it's just all kind of the same in a weird way. And it makes the game easier to follow, which is why I think it's like the e-sportification of it. Because everybody can refer to like a once per game armor-wide buff as like their wah. Everybody knows what that is. It's like Space Wolves can do it. They have a character who can make everybody reroll their charges and hit rolls. That's like their wah.
So would you say like right now, like I think one of the things that is intimidating about the entire hobby is it's almost kind of like, on your perspective, it sounds like it doesn't have that detail back in like the older editions, but going on right now, it sounds like there's not really like a pickup game of like Warhammer. Like do you think there needs to be different formats to explore, like to kind of adhere to everyone? Like, you know, here's a format for the casuals, kind of like with Magic and like Commander versus standard format. Like you think Games Workshop will
mean-
design something like that? Like, okay, here's a format for you guys, and for you guys who are just getting into the game, that's not Kill Team. Here's a format for you guys where it's just like
They-
500 points and games are
They
an hour
kind of
long.
they kind of have that.
Okay.
And they're reinventing it now. It's called Combat Patrol, which is like
Okay.
the smallest army size you can bring. It's 500 points. And you can buy these boxes that are called a Combat Patrol.
I've seen them, yeah.
So what they did is that basically they made the format Combat Patrol, and you could build whatever army you wanted within the points limit. Then for Age of Sigmar, they launched something called Spearhead, which is like their Combat Patrol, where you get what's in the box, and that formation or whatever is fixed. So you get the units that are in the Spearhead box, and that little army has its
Damn.
own unique rule set, and then you play with those against each other, and it's very well balanced in AOS. So they're kind of reworking Combat Patrol to be that. So you get what's in the box you buy, and then those units have like special data sheets, like their stats just for that game mode. So it's like a sized down version of 40k.
That
doesn't
sounds
have a lot of
equivalent. That's kind of like getting a structure deck for like a card game. Like here you go, everything's
Yeah.
in there. You can get started.
Right.
Kind of deal.
so like
Okay.
you pick up, for instance, the
That'll
this
be
is the-
$10,000, please.
Yeah, there
Almost
you go.
1,000.
You get the
Damn.
Canoness, which is like the general. You get 10 Battle Sisters, 5 Sacrosants with shields, and you get, I think it's 10 of the Flagellants, who are like the prisoners who have had their arms cut off and replaced with whips.
Whoa.
So, so you get this. That's like four units, and one of them is a character. And then those 4 units just get they get data sheets that are unique from the main game, and certain rules are cut out, or it's fully integrated into the data sheet, stuff like that.
Okay.
And it's meant to be like a more casual pick up and play kind of thing, because you buy the box and then you have everything you need.
Okay.
Instead of looking at, okay, I have 500 points, what can I fit in there?
Okay.
Now it's like you have what's in the box, and it's all been balanced against each other. In that sense.
So for me, from what you've learned about me so far, where do you think I should start? Like, this is your chance to kind of like put me in, cause I'll, obviously, again, I like Grey Knights, I like the Space Marines, Salamanders. I don't know how to build a Salamander army, cause I'm a little confused on like, okay, I have to choose like the
The fuck?
weapons. I don't know what box to buy, cause they're all painted blue, cause everyone loves the Ultramarines. So I'm just kind of like, am I allowed to paint those guys green? And then on the other
Well,
side,
anything
I do want to look
that-
into Chaos and Xenos. So what I'm saying
Yeah.
is like, what would you suggest for me? Just, this is your chance.
I mean, I think the combat patrol for Grey Knights is honestly pretty good. You
And
get
and
5
that could be brought into, and those units can be brought into an actual game outside combat
Yes.
control, because I just have to keep track of the points.
Yes, of course.
Okay, good to
You
know.
get the Dread Knight, which is like the big baby carrier, it's called, because the pilot is fully exposed on the front. It looks really silly, but that robot it's great.
So
you
go-
get 5 Strike Marines, which is just like a basic.
Combat
called?
control.
It's basically their basic Space Marine kinda. You get 5 of their Terminators.
Got
then you get
140. Oh my god, Jesus.
That's
Okay,
just what they cost.
I know. Keep going though. I'm looking at pictures.
And you
now,
get a
that's fine.
Terminator Librarian. All of these are great units. The thing about Grey Knights is that they don't have a lot of units. It's a very sparse collection.
I'm fine with that. It's a good starter for me as a novice painter who's not
I
painting on
think-
a production level.
Yeah, I think their Strike Squad box basically builds all of their troops.
Strike Squad.
That's like, there's a Purifier Squad, Purgation Squad, Interceptor Squad. I feel like all of these come from the same box. And they're
Uh-huh.
different loadouts.
And I could, when the time comes, if I ever end up owning all of those, that's how I could tailor my army to reach whatever point maximum.
Yeah,
That's-
because they
that's
all
what I'm
do different things, right?
Right.
So
Like the weapons
Purgation-
they're holding is actually going to be what their stat line will be in my codex.
Yes.
And stuff. Okay. See, I'm learning.
Like an in-
Okay, I'm getting.
like
it.
an Interceptor Squad moves faster. Like they have double movement.
Mm.
They're the fast. They move fast and they hit you. Purgation and Purifier are like, I think Purgation is like the heavy weapon squad where everybody has a big fucking gun. But then they also cost more. And there's like Paladins, which are Terminators but slightly better. Yeah, it's
Okay.
Grey Knights
okay.
is a more like focused Space Marine faction in a sense, because there's not as many choices. Where if you look at Space Marines,
Goodness
the amount of
gracious.
units you can get is fucking nuts.
Oh my! I know. Yeah, that's why I get very overwhelmed when I see the Space
Yeah,
Marine.
Space
like,
Marines is a
boxes.
very
What the hell?
overwhelming faction to get into, just because there already exists a lot of shit, and there's only ever gonna be more. It's like the subscription service faction, because every time
They call them the
anything's
poster
released,
boys, dude. They're just like
they're
yeah,
the poster boys.
Yeah.
They will always have support, and they will always be buffed if they're weak, because Games Workshop has a very
Hard
strong
on.
interest in keeping them relevant.
I'm well aware of this. This is kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh again. Like, oh look,
Right.
more Blue Eyes White Dragon support. I'm sick of Blue Eyes, dude. God.
It's like Charizard in Pokemon. Always Charizard.
Oh, sure, dude.
Yeah.
That is my big. That is my big red flag for any Pokemon fan. One of my closest friends is a Charizard fan. I'm just like, just like.
Well,
classic.
Charizard is cool.
Yeah, he is, but it's kind of.
It's alright.
One thing they did though within the Pokemon card community is that they made Charizard just a card that's fun to own and collect. It is trash in gameplay, which I thought was
Right.
a good move, because if they made him meta, then his price would have been astronomically higher.
Right.
Good move.
But the thing with Space Marines is that it's unless you just want to be tournament tryhard, it's hard to because the tournament tryhard Space Marine players always have to have the latest whatever is the new broken thing, right?
I'm
so
out.
they have gigantic collections, but what's like the better advice for Space Marines is like you pick what your favorite chapter is, and then you go with stuff that's themed for that, right? So for you, that would be Space Marine, salamanders.
Yes. Primarch
So, like,
Vulcan. Yes.
Flame units, and salamander specific units, and
Medium.
Adrax Akatone is like a
Latte.
captain you can get. He's fucking cool.
Mm.
Eradicators all have melta guns.
Okay, so this is what I need to hear, because I was very confused of like, I could buy a Space Marine box, paint them green, but what they're holding is gonna be their stat line. So if I want to make it a salamander style army, I should give them melta weapons, flamethrowers, and maybe like, you know, obviously a couple. They could have guns, but like if I want to keep
I
the
mean,
theme
they're
going.
salamanders also just have normal marines. They don't
Right,
all
right.
have flamers.
Okay.
There are units with just flamers. What are they called? Where are they? They're new. They came out with the Leviathan ones. Infernus Squad. Just 10 marines with flamethrowers.
Oh.
And eradicators are like the heavies in Space Marine 2 with just big melta guns.
Oh, nice.
Jesus, big order.
Like,
there's like
send me all these for educational purpose
there's
afterwards.
flamethrower tanks. There's dreadnoughts. Like
Yes.
they will still just have dreadnoughts and like troop transports and stuff like that.
Okay. Interesting.
But like you can go on the store and press
Medium iced coffee, mini
one of
americano,
12,000
small
Space Marines
filter.
and then just sort by salamanders, and you'll
That's
see
ice.
that
Okay.
there's 2 salamander specific units, and they're both characters. It's Adrax Agatone and it's Vulcan Histan, who's not he's not the Vulcan,
No.
but he is named Vulcan.
Is that like son of Vulcan? Is that like?
I think Vulcan in that sense is like a title he's gotten because he's a captain.
Sweet.
Whoops.
Maybe he's chapter master. Maybe Adrax is the chapter master.
Well, he will.
Forget who.
Vulcan will return.
then-
yes.
And then everything else on that page is like generic Space Marine stuff that you can bring in any Space Marine army.
Okay. Sweet. So it's very splashable. It sounds like. Like.
Most like everything is painted Ultramarines on the store, but the only stuff that's like specifically Ultramarines is like named characters, like Calgar and
Lord
Gil,
Calgar, yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Calgar is
okay.
a fucking unit, though.
Oh,
Like,
dude! In the game, I was like, "Who the f is this guy?" I
who
was
the
like,
fuck is this? And
I was like-
everyone else is like pogging, like, what the fuck? It's Calgar.
Oh my god! I thought the guy was just like a king that just sat on a throne or something like that, or some sort of like.
Nah,
realist. I
man,
was
he's
like,
the chapter master.
I was like, "Good god,
He's out here working.
dude!"
Yeah.
And those guys with the bulwarks near him with the shields. I was like, "I want to be those guys. Those guys are."
Is there anything I should
Trix
order?
Guard,
I
the
have a lot of
fucking
money.
Rad.
God, man.
What do I need?
It's like
won't
Ultramarines.
get
if
this
you
for a
wanna
long
run them,
time.
It's like
Prepare
they
1,000
have a
espresso
special
shots.
librarian,
Nah.
there's
Coffee
Calgar
grinders, I
and
don't need
Gil.
that.
Those are like the
Kettles?
4
Nope.
specific
Frothers?
Ultramarine units you
Eh.
can get.
Oh, okay.
Jugs. I could get some
Okay, and
jugs.
do you-
Personally, I like
Ice maker,
if I ever were to
shaker.
play like a, I did start kind of a collection of Space Marines, and I painted them in
Ooh, I could get a
colors. It's like
good
a
mixer.
subchapter. That's Space Sharks.
Wait, yeah, those are under. Those are related to salamanders.
get
as well,
this.
right? Like I remember
let's get
Bricky
a
talking
syrup.
about them, how like
No, they're connected to
Yeah.
Let's get.
like their unknown founding, so it's not like known who their Primarch is.
Some strawberry
Oh,
syrup.
okay.
They're like stealthy and stuff like that.
Aren't they
so
black and?
prob-
It's like black and blue colored, I think, or what?
They're
Like,
gray and black and white.
oh,
So like the color scheme of a great white shark, basically, right?
and they do aquatic
Oh
stuff,
man,
like
what
they're
else am I
like,
gonna need?
which is
No,
they don't.
no,
They
no,
don't?
no. They're an entire like void-based army. Like they don't have a home planet. They just are
There
on
we go.
spaceships. They sail the sea of the space, right? And they
Damn.
hide in.
Look at
caves
all
and
this shit I'm
they
unlocking.
fight in complete
Fuck yeah.
silence. And they're all deathly pale. So it's like it's rumored that they are like from either the Night Lords or the Raven Guard, because those are both like stealthy warrior corpse white people. But it's not known who their gene seed is from.
Isn't there two? So what's this joke I hear about the two missing Primarchs? Like,
But that's the thing that
yeah,
the
there's-
second Legion and the 11th Legion are unknown. They're redacted.
Right.
No one knows who the Primarchs are. No one knows what happened to the Legions.
I can't wait to find out. But like, I remember
We will never know.
But there's a meme saying like, how many Primarchs are there? And you're like 20,
Yeah.
and they're like, that's heresy. Get out.
Because at first there was 20 and now there's 18.
That's what's so funny. Every time you say the 20
the
sons.
two redacted Primarchs did something so horrible that they were stricken from all records, and their Marines were mind wiped and given to the Ultramarines and Dark Angels.
Oh. The Dark Angels
the
are like
pro-
sweet. Like,
No one will ever know what they did, but it was so horrible that even like Horus's betrayal is less horrible.
damn. So they're
'Cause
never gonna release that
Because
data.
people
Come
still,
on.
because people still know about the Horus heresy. No one knows what
The
those two
redacted.
lost Primarchs did.
My God, the 2nd and 11th. That's gonna be fun
Yeah.
when we find out. Okay.
I hope they never tell us, because it's gonna be lame. Like, there's no way it can be epic enough to warrant like complete erasure.
True. Is there a chaos? Is there a chaos legion that you would suggest at the same time that I could look into? Oh, the World Eaters seems pretty sick. The more you
World
talk,
Eaters are
dude.
great. Like, they're a very recent model line and release.
Okay.
Angron is such a sick model. And the
Okay.
playstyle is, you can either play them extremely onga bonga, just straight ahead, charge everything, turn one.
Nice.
But you can also play them more like the smart thing to do is to like move up and wait for your opponent to move out, and then you fucking kill them. And Angron coming back again like for free is such a fuck you to the opponent.
you just
they
send him
think-
out alone. What the heck?
Yeah, it makes him completely disposable. So like he's really expensive, but if he comes back just once, he will guaranteed kill whatever he touches, and then he'll just come back and maybe do it again. Like
Nice.
they're
I just
they're a
like
lot
the.
of fun.
I just love the anger aspect. Like, I just want to kill.
He's so mad. Like, he's the maddest motherfucker in the world. Because if he isn't, he feels like unimaginable pain.
Damn, sounds like my dad. I think that's why
I just
like
love
this.
the origin story of his axe and sword. The axe spine grinder. Take 10 years to make a gigantic chain axe, and then he murders an entire planet with it as thanks. And the sword that he forged by beating a demon to death. in a
Get
bar.
over here.
Dude, that's why I kind of want to look into them more. I'm like,
He's so
nice.
fucking sick.
Like anger. I'm so.
Like my favorite Chaos Space Marine Legion don't really have any unique models. It's Iron Warriors because
heard
they're
of them,
just
yeah.
like they're just angry, they're bitter, they're unappreciated. They're like the workhorse of the Imperium. They did all the dirty jobs no one wanted to, and they never heard a word of thanks. And then like finally the Chaos like horrors and stuff like that. They were like, aren't you sick of being nice all the time? Don't you just want to go apeshit? And so they did. It's just like,
That's all it took.
that's all it took. It's like, show some, tell a guy that he did a good job, and it's like, for the first time in his life, someone praised him.
They're like, we're on your side now, man. F the Imperium. Oh, okay.
He was sick of the Imperium. He was sick of everybody else getting like preferable treatment, especially his stupid brother Dorn.
Dude.
Because he's
okay.
like, the Iron Warriors do like siege warfare, and the Imperial Fists, who are led by Dorn,
Let's make some
they
fucking
do, like,
fraps.
fortifications. So they're like
Let's
the
see.
evil mirror. of each
I
other, right?
need
The book
strawberry
I
syrup
told you
frap.
about before, Storm
Big.
of Iron. It's like it's so good because it goes through like the methodical like siege warfare of a Space Marine Legion taking out an entire planet of Imperial Guard and fortresses,
Right.
like digging trenches, setting up their batteries, doing like
Let's see.
dirty tricks.
I need
A great thing they do is that they take all their
espresso.
prisoners
I'm just gonna make all
and they
three at
send
once.
them out, like they dress them up as chaos cultists with empty weapons, and they send them out over the minefields towards like a big bastion.
God.
And so the guard on there, they see this, like these thousands and thousands of normal humans dressed in rags with guns, and they're like, "Oh, it's the cultists! They're all coming! Shoot them!" And they just bombard their own like POW allies.
No.
And way too late, they realized what they've done, and it just shatters morale. Meanwhile, all the Marines are like digging tunnels under, and they're like sapping the walls and stuff like that. It's fucking great. It's such a great book.
God. Okay, so let's go into that aspect now. Any content that you think I should consume, just books, videos, anything like that,
Milk.
Shit.
or is there just too many to count? Just go where my heart says to go.
God. I mean, I've already seen the Bricky stuff. That's like very cursory.
Yeah,
But it's also a great overview.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about like Grey Knight's materials.
it doesn't
they
have to
have
be
a-
Grey Knights. Just anything that you would suggest a
Salamanders.
new guy like me would like enjoy, because I'm not in the mindset of I just want to consume everything about the 18th.
I think
it's like I like
Sure,
a good
checking out-
story. I like
Checking out some of the more general novels, like the edition novels, like
Okay.
Indomitus and Leviathan,
Bunch
which
of
kind
ice.
of tell the story as it's happening currently.
Okay.
I think that's a pretty good start.
Sure.
It's gonna be from the perspective of like mostly the Ultramarines, and then also a little
Right.
bit the villains. Indomitus has some Necron stuff,
Ooh.
and I don't know what if Leviathan tries to tell something from the Tyranid angle.
Fair enough. Is there a
it's-
faction or is there a faction or characters or anything like that you don't like, your least favorite? You sung a lot of praises right now. And, like right now, is there one that you're just like, I don't like those guys because they're poorly designed, or like, oh, there's nothing there, or I don't know. You seem to have just a general respect for every single
Like,
faction
I-
across the board.
I don't know who I would like less. It's like the least I let.
Yeah.
I like all the Chaos factions. Chaos is fucking great. Imperium
I'm
is like
convinced, honestly. Like at first I was just like,
Imperium-
how dare
no,
you
because-
go to chaos, and then now I'm just like, okay, I get it.
because they're so fun, right?
Yeah.
It's like all these Primarchs fall to their own vice, and it's like, of course, Angron, the angriest man to ever live, would fall to Khorne, who's like the god of war and murder.
Fighting.
Blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne.
Hell
It's like they all have their reasons.
yeah. Dude,
and
shout out to the Imperial Guard though. Woo!
Imperial Guard
Let's go.
are like very milquetoast, but also epic in a way, because it's just like it's normal men and women fighting the horrors of the galaxy in tanks with their little guns.
Yep.
And the
lasers.
ongoing meme with them is that I don't think I've ever met anyone who plays Imperial Guard who isn't in the army or has been in the army or wanted to be in the army. It's all just ex-army people.
Heck
Every
yeah.
single one.
Hell yeah. Isn't the average life of an Imperial Guard 8 seconds? Isn't that what they said in the memes? Just because
There is a
so
book
expendable.
called something like that. I think it's called 13 Hours or something, because that is the average lifespan of an Imperial Guard once they're finished training or something.
God.
Well, because most of them die immediately, but then some make it out and they become corporal or whatever. I don't know. I think my least... The faction I'm the least interested in narratively is probably the Eldar. Just because they're elves. I don't really give a shit about elves in any setting. Unless it's the Drukhari, because they have just more going on. Like they have the Gladiator, Thrill Seeker, Torture, Evil Pirate thing going on. Eldar are like weird, like wizards, but also weebs in a sense. They're very samurai, ninja, also magic, Jedi.
I know what you mean. So it's like honorable, like
Yeah,
philosophical,
Bushido. Like their guns are literally called shuriken cannons.
Okay, that's okay.
They fire shurikens.
Wow.
The Tau are also they're just very underutilized. I feel
Tau Empire.
Tau Empire. They're
Space
kind of
weebs, blue aliens with hooves.
like they are the weeb faction because they are the Gundam army.
Right.
They're in big battle suits, but they're also fucking sick. And like the whole thing about being like for the greater good, and they conquer other species and like annex them, and they become part of the empire as a whole. It's all started out. They got a lot of critique in the beginning for being too goody-goody, like they weren't evil at all. So it's kind of been retconned to that the leaders of this Tau society are kind of like brainwashing people, like with pheromones.
Pheromones? What the fuck?
Yeah, their leader on Va got killed by an Imperial assassin, but no one knows that, so he's a hologram.
Oh, damn.
They have like a space pope who's just like he died way long ago. Now he's just a hologram. So part of the Tau stuff is that there's this guy called Farsight who leads his own like little offshoot.
Yeah, I just need somebody that's gonna buy
society
some
of Tau
strawberry
called
syrup
Farsight
frap
Enclave,
because I prepared a
because
shitload.
he's like rebelling against
Mini
this whole-
espresso, mini triplo, medium.
the leaders who are like
Latte.
brainwashing people with the greater good. So he's like the guy. He broke off from the mind wash, brainwash. So he's pretty cool. And there's like this whole thing. Like the Tau are not very warp sensitive at all. They have very weak souls, so to speak.
Huh.
They don't have psychers. But this one guy, Farsight, they did like this series of books to progress the narrative, like when Angron came out, with when they got their own codex, where one of them is about Farsight kind of falling to corn a little bit, like because he's like the one melee Tau. He has like a Necron sword and stuff like that.
Sick. Hell
That's,
yeah.
He has a sword that steals like life energy. Like he's way older than he's supposed to be. Because when he kills things, he gets their lifespan or whatever. So because he's killing so many things in melee, he kind of got cornified just a little bit. Blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne. So that was like a touch, like to show that this town is incorruptible. They're not as connected to the warp, but they can still fall to chaos if the circumstances.
What's
are right.
happening to the frame rate here? It's getting pretty bad.
What-
Big
what do you-
misto.
What are your thoughts on the Imperial Knights? Because
I need to see.
remember
Do I have
like-
to fill
I heard that the Imperial
the
Knights
thing-
aren't good for tabletop play.
big misto?
Maybe just
$2.95,
get-
$2.95.
Well, because they're very skew.
Okay.
Yeah, I
just
think
like how
that's
they
just-
look. I'm like,
that's
dude,
basically
a giant
half and half.
They're
I
fucking
mean,
house
cool.
I know.
And
like,
I have Chaos Knights. Knights are fucking sick.
God.
But what they are is an entire army of basically tanks.
Yeah.
And if you're fighting something that can deal with tanks, then you're gonna get fucked up. If you're
Yeah.
fighting
Is it
something
just
that
milk?
can't deal with
Yeah.
tanks, the opponent's gonna get fucked up. So they're very skew no matter what you do. You can't really make a balanced knight army because everything is baseline a tank.
Damn.
The thing is, in the tabletop version of the game, Imperial Knights are much more incentivized to bring the big knights, the ones that are like 400 points apiece, because they have really good rules, and they can buff the little knights around them, the armigers they're called, which are like 140, 150 points. They're not as strong, but you can make them stronger with the big ones. For Chaos Knights, there's not really any synergy at all, and the big knights aren't super good. So instead, you're incentivized to run armies of basically all little ones called
Oh.
war dogs.
Oh man.
So instead of 3 big ones and some smalls, you're running like 13 little ones, which is great fun. Because the Chaos Little Knights war dogs are way better than the Imperial. Like they have one that's pure melee. They have ones that are pure shooting, and it's just they're so fucking fun. But it's also very like one-track mind. It's the running joke is that it's like cranking your hog. You're just like it's just up.
Is that why your tagline on Discord says that?
Yeah, cranking hogs. Because when we went to the German tournament, I just brought hogs. Hogs and demons. Little knights are just hogs, and you're cranking it, just running at your opponent, and then whatever happens, happens.
Oh my god. Got it. Okay.
We crank our hog in this household.
God.
It's like, but like Imperial Knights are fun because it's like these knightly households who have piloted these knights for centuries or millennia. They have super long names. They stand on ceremony. It's all very formal. And then Chaos Knights is that same thing, but it's like for Satan.
That's horrible. Like, wait, well, what god would they? Well, what chaos god are they following? Or it doesn't
Well,
matter. Any? Okay.
That's another great thing you could in ninth. You could give them marks. So you could make a knight of corn, and it would get like a corn buff, stuff like that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it would be better against psychers, because corn fucking hates psychers.
No. Wait, that's what Grey Knights are.
Wow.
Yep. And Grey Knights hates demons.
That's true.
They hate chaos, so they just hate each other. What was I thinking? Yeah, but like Chaos Knights, it's like half and half. Some of them are run by like Dark Mechanicum, so they're like infused with demons. The other half are just like Renegade, so they're just not part of the Imperium, and they're in that sense they're traitors.
I see. Oh, okay.
One great story from the 9th Codex was one of the households. I forget what it was called. Like not Halifax, but something like that. Were contacted by the
Perpetrax,
Imperium,
by the way.
and we're just like, no. It's like, congratulations, you have been discovered. Please join the Imperium. You can't say no. And they're just like, fuck off. So every time the Imperium sends people to integrate it, they just fight them off. They just beat their ass with their knights.
My God.
And then, so now they're just like, they're renegade knights, because they're not a part of the, they're planning to refuse to become part of the Imperium.
Right.
So that's,
Jesus, man.
God, that 9th, like what happened was I started playing the game in like 2022, and then I think in spring or late winter they released like all the new Chaos Knight kits, like the War Dogs that are specific to Chaos and a new Big Boy, and they made a box set with like
it was on quick cleanup.
either 2 or 4 War Dogs and 1
I
Big
might
Boy
just
and the
call it.
Codex. I was like, I have to get this.
'Cause I
This is
need
too
a-
sick.
I need to hold an
Yeah.
idle meeting,
And so
I
it was like,
think I
okay,
need
that's
a
half an
nap.
army.
I'm feeling it.
God,
then-
man. I
and
gotta
then it's
see
like-
pictures of your entire collection, man, because
That's a lot.
There we go.
please send them all.
Also, this
like,
game has gotten
I
really
always love
laggy. I
seeing
feel
people's,
like
collections.
it's like a
Pro tip
development
for
thing.
people who
It
are
gets like
collecting
all
a lot of
shitty
these
after a
minis
while.
and need storage space.
Listen,
Go to IKEA.
Let's
Just a
see.
second, I gotta go get something.
Sleep
please.
and save. There you go.
I brought
Alright.
some today, actually.
I'm gonna go.
Sweet.
It's called the
Thank you all for joining me, if you did.
Armata.
And maybe I'll come back to this. I don't know. Like, just see how easy it was to start. I have 2 employees. I have $16,000. It's basically completed the game. It's not super difficult. So anyway, I'm gonna go. This has been fun, and hopefully I'll see you all later. Right. Take care.